Act 1 of Dandy Dick by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Dandy Dick, an original farce in 3 acts by Arthur Wing Pinero. Dramatis Personae.
The Very Rev Augustin Jedd, Doctor of Divinity, Dean of St Marvell's. Read by Todd.
Sir Tristram Marden, Baronet. Read by Son of the Exiles.
Major Tarver, Blanketh Hussars, quartered at Durnston near St Marvell. Read by Craig Franklin.
Mr. Darbey, Blanketh Hussars, quartered at Durnstone near St Marvell's. Read by Jason in Panama.
Blore, butler at the Deanery. Read by Thomas Peter.
Noah Topping, constable at St Marvell's. Read by Alan Mapstone.
Atcham,
Sir Tristram's groom.
read by Roger Moline.
Georgiana Tidman, a widow, the Dean's sister. Read by Sonia.
Salome,
The Dean's daughter.
read by Leanne Yao.
Sheba,
The Dean's daughter.
read by Devorah Allen.
Hannah Topping, formerly in service at the Deanery. Read by Avai.
Stage directions read by Sandra Schmidt. Act 1 at the Deanery, St Marvell's. Morning. The morning room in the Deanery of St Marvell's, with a large arched opening leading to the library on the right, and the deeply recessed window opening out to the garden on the left. It is a bright spring morning, and an air of comfort and serenity pervades the place. Salome, a tall, handsome, dark girl of about 23, is sitting with her elbows resting on her knees, staring wildly into vacancy. Sheba, a fair little girl of about 17, wearing short petticoats, shares her despondency, and lies prostrate upon the settee.
Oh my, oh my, oh my!
Sheba, sitting upright.
Oh my gracious goodness, goodness gracious me!
They both walk about excitedly.
There's only one terrible word for it. It's a fix.
It's worse than that. It's a scrape. How did you ever get let into it?
How did we get let into it? Halve, Sheba, please.
It was Major Tarver's proposal, and I believe, Salome, that it is to you Major Tarver is paying attention.
The fancy dress masked ball at Durnstone is promoted by the officers of the Hussars. I believe that the young gentleman you have impressed calls himself an officer, though he is merely a lieutenant.
Sheba, indignantly.
Mr. Darbey is certainly an officer. A small officer. How dare you gird at me, Salome?
Very well, then. When tonight we appear at the Durnstone Athenaeum, unknown to dear papa, on the arms of Major Tarver and Mr. Darbey, I consider that we shall be equally wicked. Oh, how can we be so wrong?
Well, we're not wrong yet. We're only going to be wrong. That's a very different matter.
That's true. Besides, there's this to remember. We're inexperienced girls and have only dear papa. But oh, now that the ball is tonight, I repent, Sheba, I repent.
I shan't do that till tomorrow, but oh, how I shall repent tomorrow.
Salome, taking an envelope from her pocket and almost crying.
You'd repent now if you had seen the account for the fancy dresses.
Has it come in?
Yes, the Major enclosed it to me this morning. You know, Sheba, Major Tarver promised to get the dresses made in London, so I gave him our brown paper patterns to send to the costumier.
Sheba, shocked.
Oh, Salome, do you think he quizzed them?
No, I sealed them up and marked outside, to be opened only by a lady.
That's all right. I hate the plan of myself in brown paper.
Well, of course, Major Tarver begged to be allowed to pay for the dresses, and I said I couldn't dream of permitting it. And then he said he should be most unhappy if he didn't, and just as I thought he was going to have his own way.
Bursting into tears.
He cheered up and said he'd yield to a lady.
Taking a large account from the envelope.
And, oh, he's yielded.
Read it. Don't spare me.
Salome, reading.
Debtor to Louis Isaacs, costumier to the Queen, Bow Street. 1 gown, period French Revolution, 1798. 15 guineas?
Sheba, sinking on her knees, clutching the table.
Oh!
Trimmings, linings, buttons, frillings, 7 guineas.
Sheba, hysterically.
Yeah!
That's mine!
Sheba, putting her fingers into her ears.
Now for mine, ooh!
Salome, reading.
1 skirt and bodice, flower girl, period uncertain, 10 guineas.
Less than yours, what a shame!
Trimmings, linings, buttons, frillings, 5 guineas. Extras, 2 guineas. Total, £40.19. Ladies' own brown paper patterns mislaid. Terms, cash.
They throw themselves into each other's arms.
Oh, Sheba!
Salome, are there 40 pounds in the wide world?
My heart weighs 20. What shall we do?
If we were only a few years older, I should suggest that we wrote nice notes to Papa and committed suicide.
Brought up as we have been, that's out of the question.
Then let us be brave women, and wear the dresses.
Of course we'll do that, but the bill!
We must get dear Papa in a good humour, and coax him to make us a present of money. He knows we haven't been charitable in the town for ever so long.
Poor dear Papa. He hasn't paid our proper dressmaker's bill yet, and I'm sure he's pressed for money.
But we can't help that when we're pressed for money. Poor dear Papa.
Suppose poor Papa refuses to give us a present?
Then we must play the piano when he's at work on his concordance. Poor dear Papa.
However, don't let us wrong poor Papa in advance. Let us try to think how nice we shall look.
Oh, yes. Shan't I?
Oh, I shall. And as for stealing out of the house with Major Tarver when poor dear Papa has gone to bed, why, Gerald Tarver would die for me.
So would Nugent Darbey for me. Besides, I'm not old enough to know better.
You're not so very much younger than I, Sheba.
Indeed, Salome. Then why do you keep me in short skirts?
Why, you cruel girl. You know I can't lengthen you till I'm married.
Blore, the butler, a venerable-looking person with rather a clerical suggestion about his dress, enters by the window. Benignly.
The 2 soldier gentlemen have just rode up, Miss Salome.
The girls clutch each other's hands.
You mean Major Tarver?
And Mr. Darbey. They have called to inquire after poor Papa.
Poor Papa.
Shall I show them in, Miss Sheba?
Yes, Blore dear, and hang your H's on the hat stand.
Blore laughs sweetly at Sheba and shakes his fingers at her playfully, vindictively, behind their backs.
Hussies.
He goes out.
Am I all right, Sheba?
Yes, am I?
Yes.
Looking out at window.
Here they are. How well Gerald Tarver dismounts. Ah.
He left his liver in India, didn't he?
No, only part of it.
Well, part of it.
And that he gave to his queen, brave fellow.
Sheba, seating herself in an artificial attitude.
Where shall we be? Here?
Salome, running to the piano.
All right, you be admiring my voice.
Oh, I dare say.
Here they are, and we're doing nothing.
Let's run away and then come in unconsciously.
Yes, unconsciously.
They run off through the library. Blore shows in Major Tarver and Mr. Darbey, who are both in regimentals. Major Tarver is a middle-aged, tall, angular officer, with a thin face, yellow complexion, and red eyes. He's alternately in a state of great excitement and depression. Mr. Darbey is a mere boy, but with a pompous, patronizing manner.
The Dean's out of the way, eh?
Yes, sir, he is.
Eh? How is the Dean? Never mind, perhaps Miss Jedd is at home.
Yes, sir, she is.
It would be discourteous to run away without asking Miss Jedd after her father.
Darbey, throwing himself on the settee.
Deuced bad form.
The ladies were here a minute ago.
Salome and Sheba walk in together. Salome has her arm round her sister's waist and looks up to her with a sweet, trusting smile. They start in confusion on seeing Tarver and Darbey.
Major Tarver.
Mr. Darbey.
Tarver, taking Salome's hand eagerly.
My dear Miss Jedd.
Darbey, rising and putting a glass to his eye.
Hi-ya, hi-ya.
Salome, with her hand on her heart.
You quite startled us.
Tarver, in an agony of contrition.
Oh, did we?
Awfully cut up to hear it.
We never dreamt of finding 2 visitors for Papa.
Why, you told me to show the gentleman in, Miss Sheba.
The 2 girls start guiltily and glare at Blore. Salome, with suppressed rage.
You needn't wait, Blore.
Blore, to himself.
Let 'em hang that on the hat stand.
Blore goes out. Darbey and Sheba stroll together into the library. Tarver to Salome.
We thought we'd ride over directly after parade to make the final arrangements for tonight. Have the costumes arrived?
Yes, they came yesterday in a hamper labelled Miss Jedd, Secretary, Cast-Off Clothing Distribution League.
That was my idea. Came to me in the middle of the night.
Dear Major Tarver, surely this terrible strain on your nerves is very, very bad for you with your...
My liver. Say the word, Miss Jedd.
Salome, drooping her head.
Oh, Major Tarver!
It is frightfully injurious. Of course, I'm excited now, and you see me at my best. But the alternating fits of hopeless despondency are shocking to witness and to endure.
Oh!
It's all that damned India. Oh, what have I said? You will never forgive me.
Indeed I will.
Never. Oh, Miss Jedd, my forgetfulness has brought me one of my terrible attacks of depression.
Major Tarver!
She leads him to a chair, into which he sinks in a ghastly state. Darbey strolls in from the library with Sheba. Darbey to Sheba.
Your remarks about the army are extremely complimentary. On behalf of the army, I thank you. We fellows are not a bad sort, take us all round.
There's a grand future before you, isn't there?
Well, I suppose there is if I go on as I'm going now.
Tarver to Salome.
Thanks. The attack has passed. How about tonight? At what time is the house entirely quiet?
Poor dear Papa goes round with Blore at 9:30. After that, all is rest and peacefulness.
Then, if we're here with the closed carriage at 10...
They go together into the library. Darbey to Sheba.
Some of us army men can slave too. Tarver's queer liver has thrown all the arrangements for the fancy ball on my shoulders.
Salome and Tarver re-enter.
Look at him. That's when he's enjoying life.
Oh, good, eh, Miss Jedd?
But suppose dear Papa should hear us crunching down the gravel path?
Oh.
He sinks onto the settee with a vacant stare, his arms hanging helplessly. Darbey to Sheba.
There, now his career is a burden to him.
Oh.
Would you like a glass of water, Major Tarver?
Tarver, taking Salome's hand.
Thank you, dear Miss Jedd, with the least suggestion of cayenne pepper in it.
Sheba, looking out at window.
Oh, Salome! Papa! Papa!
The Dean?
The Dean!
They all collect themselves in a fluster. The 2 girls go to meet their father, who enters at the window with his head bowed and his hands behind his back, in deep thought. The Dean is a portly man of about 50, with a dignified demeanour, a suave voice and persuasive manner, and a noble brow surmounted by silver-grey hair. Blore follows the Dean, carrying some books, a small bunch of flowers, and an umbrella. Salome tenderly.
Papa!
Papsy!
The Dean rouses himself, discovers his children, and removes his hat. The Dean, to Salome.
Salome!
To Sheba.
My toy child.
He draws the girls to him and embraces them, then sees Tarver and Darbey.
Dear me, strangers!
Tarver and Darbey, coughing uncomfortably. Salome, reproachfully, taking his hat from him.
Papa, Major Tarver and Mr. Darbey have ridden over from Durnstone to ask how your cold is.
Sheba takes the gold-rimmed pince-nez, which hangs upon the Dean's waistcoat, and places it before his eyes.
Dear me, Major, Mr. Garvey.
Mr. Darbey.
Darbey, how good of you.
With his girls still embracing him, he extends a hand to each of the men.
My cold is better.
Blore goes out to the library.
Major, Mr. Garvey, these inquiries strike me as being so kind that I must insist. No, I beg that you will share our simple dinner with us tonight at 6 o'clock.
Tarver, disconcerted.
Oh.
Let me see. Tuesday night is...
Leg of mutton, Papa.
Thank you. Mutton, hot.
And custards, Papsy.
Thank you, toy child. Custards, cold. And a welcome, warm.
Tarver, looking to Salome. Salome nods her head to him violently.
That is certainly, Dean, certainly.
Delighted, my dear Dean, delighted.
The Dean gives Darbey a severe look, and with an important cough he walks into the library. The men and the girls speak in undertones. Tarver, depressed.
Now what will happen tonight?
Why, don't you see? As you will have to drive over to dine, you will both be here, on the spot, ready to take us back to Durnstone.
The Dean sits at his desk in the library.
Of course. When we're turned out, we can hang about in the lane till you're ready.
Yes, but when are we to make our preparations? It'll take me a long time to look like Charles I.
We can drive about Durnstone while you dress.
Salome, to Tarver, admiringly.
Charles I! Oh, Major!
That was my idea. Charles the Martyr, you know. Tarver's a martyr to his liver, see?
Oh, shan't we all look magnificent?
Oh!
Grand idea, the whole thing.
Regular army notion.
They are all in a state of great excitement, when the Dean re-enters, with an anxious look, carrying a bundle of papers.
Here is Papa.
They rush to various seats, all in constrained attitudes. Tarver, to the Dean.
We waited to say good morning.
The Dean, taking his hand abstractedly.
How kind. Good morning.
6 o'clock sharp, Dean?
At 6 punctually. Salome, represent me by escorting these gentlemen to the gate.
Salome, Tarver and Darbey go out. Sheba is following slyly when the Dean looks up from his papers.
Sheba?
Papsy?
Check me in a growing tendency to dislike Mr. Garvey. At dinner, Sheba, watch that I carve for him fairly.
Yes, Papsy.
The Dean turns away and sits on the settee. Sheba, with her head down and her hands folded, walks towards the door, and then bounds out. The Dean, turning the papers over in his hand, solemnly.
Bills.
He rises, walks thoughtfully to a chair, sits, and examines papers again.
Bills.
He rises again, walks to another chair, and sinks into it with a groan.
Bills.
Salome and Sheba re-enter. Salome, to Sheba in a whisper.
Papa's alone.
A beautiful opportunity to ask for that little present of money. Poor dear Papa. Poor dear Papa.
They link their hands together and walk as if going out to the library. The Dean, looking up.
Don't go, children.
He rises. The girls rush to him, and laughing with joy, they turn him like a top, dancing around him.
Ah, children!
Pepsy's in a good humour.
Salome, pinching his chin.
He always is.
Pepsy will listen to our little wants.
They force him into a chair. Salome sits on the ground, embracing his legs. Sheba lies on the top of the table.
Oh dear! Your wants are very little ones. What are they, Salome? What are they, toy child?
Papa, have you any spare cash?
Spare cash? Playful Salome.
Pounds, shillings, and pence, Pepsy. Or pounds, shillings, Pepsy, and never mind the pence.
Ha ha! I am glad, really glad, children, that you have broken through a reserve which has existed on this point for at least a fortnight, and babbled for money.
Sheba and Salome laughing with delight.
It gives me the opportunity of meeting your demands with candor. Children, I have love for you, solicitude for you, but I have no spare cash for anybody.
He rises and walks gloomily across to the piano, on the top of which he commences to arrange his bills. In horror, Salome scrambles up from the floor, and Sheba wriggles off the table. Simultaneously, they drop onto the same chair and huddle together. Salome, to herself.
Lost.
Sheba, to herself.
Done for.
And now you have so cheerily opened the subject, let me tell you with equal good humour,
emphatically flourishing the bills,
that this sort of thing must be put a stop to. Your dressmaker's bills is shocking. Your milliner gives an analytical record of the feverish beatings of the hot pulse of fashion. Your general draper blows a rancorous blast which would bring dismay to the stoutest heart. Let me for once peal out a deep paternal bass to your childish treble and say emphatically, I've had enough of it.
He paces up and down. The two girls utter a loud yell of grief.
Ah!
Sheba, through her tears.
We've been brought up as young ladies. That can't be done for nothing.
Sheba's small, but she cuts into a lot of material.
My girls, it is such unbosomings as this which preserve the domestic union of a family. Weep, howl, but listen. The total of these weeds which spring up in the beautiful garden of paternity is 156, 18, 3. Now, all the money I can immediately command is considerably under £500.
Oh, Papa!
Oh, what a lot!
Hush! But read, Salome. Read aloud this paragraph in The Times of yesterday. There, my child.
He hands a copy of The Times to Salome with his finger upon a paragraph. Salome, reading.
A munificent offer. Dr. Jedd, the Dean of St Marvell's, whose anxiety for the preservation of the minister's spire threatens to undermine his health, has subscribed a munificent sum of £1,000 to the Restoration Fund. Oh!
Oh, and we gasping for clothing.
Read on, my child.
On condition that 7 other donors come forward, each with the like sum. And will they?
The Dean anxiously.
My darling, times are bad, but one never knows.
If they don't?
Then you will have your new summer dresses as usual.
Salome, hoarsely.
But if they do, speak, father.
The Dean, gloomily.
Then we will all rejoice.
Rejoice.
And retrench. 2 R's, little ones. Retrench and rejoice.
The two girls cling to each other as Blore comes from the library with 2 letters on a salver.
The second post, sir. Just in.
The Dean, blandly.
Thank you.
Blore, hearing Salome and Sheba crying.
They've had a scolding, hussies. Let 'em hang that on the hat-stand.
He's going out. The Dean, opening letters.
Oh, Blore. This note from Mr. Hodder, the secretary of the Sport and Relaxation Repression Guild, reminds me that tomorrow is the first day of the races, the St. Marvell Spring Meeting, as it is called.
Indeed, sir. Fancy that. And I not know it.
All our servants may not resemble you, Blore. Pray remind them in the kitchen and the stable of the rule of the house.
No servant allowed to leave the deanery on any pretence while the races is on.
The Dean, kindly,
While the races are on. Thank you, Blore.
opens his second letter.
Thank you, sir.
To himself.
Oh, if the Dean only knew the good thing I could put him on to for the Durnstone handicap.
He goes out.
Children, Salome, Sheba, here is good news.
Salome running to him.
Good news!
What is it?
Your aunt.
Left us some money?
Your aunt is coming to live with us.
To what?
To live with us? What aunt?
My dear widowed sister, Georgiana Tidman.
What's she like?
We don't want her.
Good gracious! Georgiana and I reconciled after all these years. She will help us to keep the expenses down.
Keep the expenses down.
The Dean, embracing his daughters.
A second mother to my girls. She will implant the precepts of retrenchment if their father cannot.
But, Papa, who is Aunt What's-her-name?
Who is she?
My dears, a mournful, miserable history.
With his head bent, he walks to a chair and holds out his hands to the girls, who go to him and kneel at his feet.
When you were infants, your Aunt Georgiana married an individual whose existence I feel it my sad duty never to recognize.
A bad man?
He died 10 years ago, and therefore we shall say a misguided man. He was a person who bred horses to run in races for amusement, combined with profit. He was also what is called a gentleman jockey, and it was your aunt's wifely boast that if ever he vexed her, she could take a stone off his weight in half an hour. In due course his neck was dislocated.
By aunt?
Hush, child, no. You will be little wiser when I tell you he came a cropper.
How awful it all sounds.
Left a widow, you would think it natural that Georgiana Tidman would have flown to her brother, himself a widower. Not at all. Maddened, I hope, by grief, she continued the career of her misguided husband, and for years, to use her own terrible words, she was the daisy of the turf.
What's that?
I don't know, toy child. But at length retribution came. Ill luck fell upon her. Her horses, stocks, everything came to the hammer. That was my hour. Come to me, I wrote. My children yearn for you.
Sheba and Salome, with wry faces.
Oh.
At the Deanery of St Marvell's, with the cares of a household and a stable which contains only a 13-year-old pony, you may obtain rest and forgetfulness. And she is coming.
When? Oh, when?
She merely says, soon.
Sheba and Salome, stamping with vexation.
Ugh!
Salome, Sheba, you will, I fear, find her a sad, broken creature, a weary fragment, a wave-tossed derelict. Let it be your patient endeavor to win back a flickering smile to the wan features of this chastened widow.
Blore enters with a telegram.
A telegram, sir.
The Dean opens telegram.
No Aunt Tidman flickers a smile at me.
I wouldn't be in her shoes for something.
Salt in her bed, Salome.
Yes, and a peg out of the rattling window.
They grip hands earnestly.
Good gracious! Bless me! Girls, your Aunt Georgiana slept at the wheat sheaf at Durnston last night, and is coming on this morning.
Today?
Blore, tell Willis to get the chaise out.
Blore hurries out.
Salome, child, you and I will drive into Durnston. We may be in time to bring your aunt over. My hat, Sheba, quick!
The clang of the gate bell is heard in the distance.
The bell!
Looking out of window.
No. Yes. It can't be. Children, I wonder if this is your Aunt Georgiana.
Blore appears with a half-frightened, surprised look.
Mrs. Tidman.
Georgiana Tidman enters. She's a jovial, noisy woman, very horsey in manners and appearance, and dressed in pronounced masculine style, with billycock hat and coaching coat. The girls cling to each other. The Dean recoils.
"Well, Gus, my boy, how are you?"
The Dean, shocked.
Georgiana!
Georgiana, patting the Dean's cheeks.
"You're putting on too much flesh, Augustin. They should give you a 10-miler daily in a blanket."
The Dean, with dignity.
My dear sister!
"Are these your 2-year-olds?"
To Salome.
"Kiss your aunt."
She kisses Salome with a good, hearty smack. To Sheba.
"Kiss your aunt."
She embraces Sheba, then stands between the two girls and surveys them critically, touching them alternately with the end of her cane.
"Lord bless you both. What names do you run under?"
I am Salome.
I am Sheba.
Georgiana, looking at Sheba.
"Why, little un, your stable companion could give you a stone and then get her nose in front."
The Dean, who has been impatiently fuming.
Georgiana, I fear these poor innocents don't follow your well-intentioned but inappropriate illustrations.
"Oh, we'll soon wake 'em up. Well, Augustin, my boy, it's nearly 20 years since you and I munched our corn together."
Our estrangement has been painfully prolonged.
"Since then we've both run many races, though we've never met in the same events. The world has ridden us both pretty hard at times, Gus, hasn't it? We've been punished and pulled and let down pretty often, but here we are,"
tapping him sharply in the chest with her cane.
"sound in the wind yet. You're doing well, Gus, and they say you're going up the hill neck and neck with your bishop. I've dropped out of it. The mares don't last, Gus. And it's good and kind of you to give me a dry stable and a clean litter, and to keep me out of the shafts of a Shrewsbury and Talbot."
Sheba, in a whisper to Salome.
"Salome, I don't quite understand her, but I like Aunt."
So do I, but she's not my idea of a wary fragment or a chastened widow.
My dear Georgiana, I rejoice that you meet me in this affectionate spirit, and when, pardon me, when you have a little caught the tone of the Deanery—
"Oh, I'll catch it. If I don't, the Deanery will a little catch my tone. The same thing."
Sheba laughs.
Toy child!
"Oh, trust George Tidd for setting things quite square in a palace or a puddle."
George Tidd? Who is George Tidd?
"I am George Tidd. That was my racing name. Ask after George Tidd at Newmarket. They'll tell you all about me. My colours were crimson and black diamond. There you are."
Producing her pocket handkerchief, which is crimson and black.
Dear me, very interesting. Georgiana, my dear. One moment, children.
The girls go into the library. The Dean, tapping the handkerchief.
I understand distinctly from your letter that all this is finally abandoned?
"Oh, worse luck. They'll never see my colours at the post again."
And the contemplation of sport generally as a mental distraction?
"Oh, yes. I dare say you'll manage to wean me from that too, in time."
In time? Well, but, Georgiana—
The gate bell is heard again. The girls re-enter.
"There's a visitor. I'll tootle upstairs and have a groom down."
To Salome and Sheba.
"Make the running, girls. At what time do we feed, Augustin?"
There is luncheon at 1 o'clock.
"Right. The air here is so fresh, I shan't be sorry to get my nose bag on."
She stalks out, accompanied by the girls.
My dear Georgiana, my widowed sister Georgiana! Dear me, I am quite disturbed. Surely the serene atmosphere of the Deanery will work a change. It must! It must! If not, what a grave mistake I have made. Good gracious! No, I won't think of it. Still, it is a little unfortunate that poor Georgiana should arrive here on the very eve of those terrible races at St Marvell's.
Blore enters with a card.
Who is it, Blore?
reading the card.
Sir Tristram Marden. Dear, dear. Certainly, Blore, certainly.
Blore goes out.
Marden. Why, Marden and I haven't met since Oxford.
Blore re-enters, showing in Sir Tristram Marden, a well-preserved man of about 50, with a ruddy face and jovial manner, the type of the thorough English sporting gentleman. Blore goes out.
Hello, Jedd, how are you?
My dear Marden, are we boys again?
Sir Tristram, boisterously.
Of course we are, boys again.
He hits the Dean violently in the chest. The Dean, breathing heavily, to himself.
I quite forgot how rough Marden used to be, how it all comes back to me.
Think I've changed?
Only in appearance.
I'm still a bachelor. Got terribly jilted by a woman years ago, and have run in blinkers ever since. Can't be helped, can it? You're married, aren't you?
I have been a widower for 15 years.
Oh, Lord, awfully sorry. Can't be helped, though, can it?
Seizing the Dean's hand and squeezing it.
Forgive me, old chap.
The Dean, withdrawing his hand with pain.
Oh.
I've reopened an old wound. Damn stupid of me.
Hush, Marden, please.
All right. What do you think I'm down here for?
For the benefit of your health, Marden?
Never had an ache in my life. Shan't come and hear you preach next Sunday, Gus.
I do not preach next Sunday.
You'd better not. No, I'm here for the races.
The race? Hush, my dear Marden. My girls.
Girls? May I trot 'em into the paddock tomorrow?
Thank you, no.
Think it over. You've seen the list of starters for the Durnstone Handicap?
No, I haven't.
Not? Look here, Sir Tristram Marden's dandy deck, 9 stone 2 ton Gallowwood up. What do you think of that?
I don't think of anything like that.
Sir Tristram, digging the Dean in the ribs.
Look out for my colours. Black and white, and a pink cap. First past the post tomorrow.
Really, my dear Marden?
Good heavens, Jedd. They talk about Bonnie Betsy.
I grieve to hear it. The tongue of scandal.
Sir Tristram, taking the Dean's arm and walking him about.
Can you imagine, sir, for one moment, that Bonnie Betsy with a boy on her back could get down that hill tomorrow with those legs of hers?
Another horse, I presume?
No, a bay mare. George Tidd knew what she was about when she stuck to Dandy Dick to the very last.
The Dean, aghast.
George Tidd?
Georgiana Tidman. Dandy came out of her stable after she smashed.
Bless me.
Poor old George. I wonder what's become of her.
My dear Marden, I am, of course, heartily pleased to revive in this way your old acquaintance. I wish it were in my power to offer you the hospitality of the Deanery, but—
Don't name it. My horse and I are over at the Swan. Come and look at Dandy Dick.
Marden, you don't understand. My position in St Marvell's—
Oh, I see, Jedd. I beg your pardon. You mean that the colours you ride in don't show up well on the hill yonder, or in the stable of the Swan Inn?
You must remember—
I remember that in your young days you made the heaviest book on the Derby of any of our fellows.
I always lost, Marden. Indeed, I always lost.
I remember that you once matched a mare of your own against another of Lord Bexlade's for £50.
But she wasn't in it, Marden. I mean, she was dreadfully beaten.
Sir Tristram, shaking his head sorrowfully.
Oh, Jedd, Jedd. Other times, other manners. Goodbye, old boy.
You're not offended, Marden?
Sir Tristram, taking the Dean's hand.
Offended? No, only sorry, Dean, damned sorry, to see a promising lad come to an end like this.
Georgiana enters with Salome on one side of her and Sheba on the other, all three laughing and chatting, apparently the best of friends.
By Jove! No! What? Tid!
Hello, Marden.
They shake hands warmly.
Of all places in the world to find Mr. Tid. Why, Dean, you've been chaffing me, have you?
No.
Yes, you have. You've been roasting your old friend.
Marden.
Tid is a pal of yours, eh?
Sir Tristram Marden, Mrs. Tidman is my sister.
Your sister?
Yes, I've been running a bit dark, Marden, but that stout, well-seasoned animal over there and this skittish creature come of the same stock and were foaled in the same stable.
Pointing to Salome and Sheba.
There are a couple of yearlings here you don't know. My nieces, Salome and Sheba.
Sir Tristram, bowing.
How do you do?
Heartily taking Georgiana's hand again.
Well, I don't care whose sister you are, but I'm jolly glad to see you, George, my boy.
Gracious, Tris, don't squeeze my hand so.
The Dean, in horror.
Salome, Sheba, children, I must speak to you. Excuse me, Marden.
To himself.
Oh, what shall I do with my widowed sister?
He goes into the garden. Sheba to Salome.
That's like Pa, just as we were getting interested.
We'll come back in a minute.
They go out by the window.
Lord! How odd! You know your brother and I were at Oxford together, George?
Were you, Tris? Then are you putting up here?
He won't have me.
Won't have you?
Because I'm down here racing. You see, he's a dean.
Is he? Well then, you just lay 1,000 sovereigns to a gooseberry that in this house I'm a dean too.
I suppose he's thinking of the canons, and the bishop, and those chaps.
Lord bless your heart, they're all right when you cheer them up a bit. If I'm here till the autumn meeting, you'll find me lunching on the hill, with the canons marking my cart, and the dear old bishop mixing the salad. So say the word, Tris. I'll make it all right with Augustin.
No, thanks, old fellow. The fact is that I'm fixed at the Swan with, what do you think, George, with Dandy Dick.
Oh, my old dandy.
I brought him down with me in Lavender. You know he runs for the Durnstone Handicap tomorrow.
No, there's precious little that horse does that I don't know, and what I don't know I dream. Is he fit?
As a fiddle. Shines like a mirror. Not an ounce too much or too little. He'll romp in.
He'll dance in, Tris Marden.
Eh?
Georgiana, mysteriously.
Tris, Dandy Dick doesn't belong to you. Not all of him.
No, I've only a half share. At your sale he was knocked down to John Fielder the trainer. The other half belongs to John.
No, it doesn't. It belongs to me.
George!
Yes. Directly I saw Dandy Dick marched out before the auctioneer, I asked John Fielder to help me, and he did like a Briton. For I can't live without horseflesh, if it's only a piece of cat's meat on a skewer. But when I condescended to keep company with the canons and the bishop here, I promised Augustin that I wouldn't own anything on 4 legs. So John sold you half of Dick, and I can swear I don't own a horse. And I don't. Not a whole one. But half a horse is better than no bread, Tris. And we're partners. What are you laughing at, man?
Oh, the Dean! The Dean!
Salome and Sheba enter unperceived.
I beg your pardon, George. Well, now you know he's fit, of course. You're going to backhand Dick for the Durnstone handicap.
Back him? For every penny I've got in the world. That isn't much, but if I'm not a richer woman by £1,000 tomorrow night, I shall have had a bad day.
Oh, Sheba!
The girls come towards the library. Georgiana, discovering them,
Hush!
To the girls.
Hello!
It's only us, Aunt.
The girls go into the library.
I'll be off.
Keep your eye on the old horse, Tristram.
Don't fear. Good morning, George.
Good morning, partner. Oh, do be quiet.
Say goodbye for me to the Dane.
She gives him a push, and he goes out. Sheba and Salome immediately re-enter from the library.
Aunt, dear Aunt.
Well, girls.
Aunt, Salome has something to say to you.
No, it's Sheba.
Why, you're shivering all over.
Catching hold of Sheba.
Hello, little un.
Aunt, dear Aunt Georgiana, we heard you say something about £1,000.
You've been listening.
No, we only merely heard. And oh, Aunt, £1,000 is such a lot, and we poor girls want such a little.
Money?
Yes, Salome has rather got into debt.
My gracious!
I haven't any more than you have, Sheba.
Well, I'm in debt too, but I only meant to beg for Salome. But now I ask for both of us. Oh, Aunt Tidman, Papa has told us that you have known troubles.
Ah, so I have. Heaps of them.
Oh, I'm so glad, because Salome and I are weary fragments too. We're everything awful but chastened widows. We owe £40 unknown to Pa.
£40.19.
Why, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves, you girls.
We are.
We are.
To cry and go on like this about £40.
But we've only got 15 3 of our own in the world. And oh, Aunt, you know something about the races, don't you?
Eh?
If you do, help two poor creatures to win £40.19. Aunt Georgiana, what's Dandy Dick you were talking to that gentleman about?
Child, Dandy Dick's a horse.
We thought so. Then let Dandy Dick win us some money.
No, no, I won't hear of it.
Oh, do, do.
Oh, do.
Go away, I won't. I say decidedly, I will not.
Oh, do.
Do, and we'll love you for ever and ever, Aunt Georgiana.
You will.
She embraces them heartily.
Bless your little innocent faces. Do you want to win £40?
Yes.
Do you want to win £50?
Oh, yes.
Taking her betting book from her pocket.
Very well. Then put your very petticoats on Dandy Dick.
The girls stand clutching their skirts, frightened.
Oh!
End of the first act.
How do you find this book? Any thoughts about the book or the author? Any suggestion for improvement? Please take a moment to share your thoughts in a comment. If you like it, share it with your friends who might enjoy it as well. Subscribe to keep in touch. Visit CompleteAudiobooks.com for more quality content.
Act 2 of Dandy Dick by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2. The same place. Evening. The morning room at the Deanery, with the fire and the lamps lighted. It is after dinner. Sheba is playing the piano, Salome lolling upon the settee, and Georgiana pouring out tea. They are in evening dress.
Sugar, Sally? I call you Sally, Salome. The evening's too short for your name.
All right, Aunt George. 2 lumps, please.
Georgiana to Sheba.
Little un?
2 lumps, and 1 in the saucer, to eat.
Quite a relief to shake off the gentleman, isn't it?
Do you think so, Aunt?
Oh, I don't think so.
Now I understand why my foot was always in the way under the dinner table.
She holds out 2 cups, which the girls take from her.
I thought the dinner was an overwhelming success.
All our dinners are at the Deanery.
Awfully jolly. Mutton was overdone.
That's our new cook's one failing.
But the potatoes weren't. They rattled.
Cook never can manage potatoes.
What was wrong with the custards?
Well, it was cook's first attempt at custards.
However, they served one useful end. Now we know the chimney wants sweeping.
But it was a frightfully jolly dinner. Take it all round.
Yes, take it all round. One has to take things all round.
What made us all so sad and silent, taking us all round?
Dear Papa was as lively as an owl with neuralgia.
Major Tarver isn't a conversational cracker.
Gerald Tarver has no liver, to speak of.
He might have spoken about his lungs or something, to cheer us up.
I fancy Mr. Darbey was about to make a witty remark once.
Yes, and then the servant handed him a dish, and he shied at it. So we lost that.
Still, we ought to congratulate ourselves upon a
frightfully jolly dinner.
Taking her betting book from her pocket.
Excuse me, girls, I've some figures to work out. If Dandy Dick hasn't fared better at the Swan than we have at the Deanery, he won't be in the first 3.
Reckoning.
Let me see.
Salome to Sheba.
All settled, Sheba, isn't it?
Yes, everything. Directly the house is silent, we let ourselves out at the front door.
How do we get in again?
By this window. It has a patent safety fastening, so it can be opened with a hairpin.
We're courageous girls, aren't we?
Yes, I don't consider we're ordinary young ladies at all.
If we had known Aunt a little longer, we might have confided in her and taken her with us.
Poor Aunt. We mustn't spoil her.
Darbey, speaking outside.
I venture to differ with you, my dear Dean.
Oh, here come the waxworks.
She joins the girls as Darbey enters through the library, patronizing the Dean, who accompanies him.
Ha! I've just been putting the Dean right about a little army question, Mrs. I can't catch your name.
Don't try. You'd come out in spots, like measles.
Darbey stands by her blankly, then attempts a conversation. The Dean to Salome and Sheba.
Children, it is useless to battle against it much longer.
Against what, Papa?
A feeling of positive distaste for Mr. Darbey.
Oh, Papsy, think what Wellington was at his age.
Major Tarver enters, pale and haggard. Salome meets him.
Major!
Oh.
Not well again?
Indigestion. I'm always like this after dinner.
But what would you do if the trumpet summoned you to battle?
Oh, I suppose I should pack up a few charcoal biscuits and toddle out, you know.
Georgiana to Darbey.
I've never studied the Army Guide.
You're thinking of...
The Turf Guide, beg pardon. I mean, the Army keeps a string of trained nurses, doesn't it?
There are Army nurses.
Certainly. I was wondering whether your colonel will send one with a perambulator to fetch you at about 8:30.
She leaves Darbey and goes to the Dean. Sheba joins Darbey at the piano.
Well, Gus, my boy, you seem out of condition.
I'm rather anxious for the post to bring today's Times. You know I've offered £1,000 to our Restoration Fund.
What?
Hush, I'll tell you.
They talk in undertones. Blore enters to remove the tea-tray. Tarver, jumping up excitedly, to Salome.
Hey, oh, certainly, delighted.
Singing to himself.
Come into the garden, Maud, for the black bat.
Now you yourself again.
I'm always dreadfully excited when I'm asked to sing. It's as good as a carbonate of soda lozenge to me to be asked to sing.
To Blore.
My music is in my overcoat pocket.
Blore crosses to the door.
And Mr. Darbey has brought his violin.
Tarver, in a rage, glaring at Darbey.
Ah, there now.
Darbey to Blore.
You'll find it in the hall.
Blore goes out. The Dean dozes in a chair. Salome and Sheba talk to Georgiana at the table. Tarver to himself.
He always presumes with his confounded fiddle when I'm going to entertain. He knows that his fiddle's never hoarse, and that I am, sometimes.
Darbey to himself.
Tarver always tries to cut me out with his elderly chest C. He ought to put it on the retired list.
Well, I'll sing him off his legs tonight. I'm in lovely voice.
He walks into the library and is heard trying his voice, singing Come into the garden, Maud. Darbey to himself.
He needn't bother himself. While he was dozing in the carriage, I threw his music out of the window.
Tarver re-enters triumphantly. Blore re-enters, carrying a violin case and a leather music roll. Darbey takes the violin case, opens it, and produces his violin and music. Blore hands the music roll to Tarver and goes out. Tarver, to Salome, trembling with excitement.
My tones are like a beautiful bell this evening. I'm so glad for all our sakes.
As he takes the leather music roll from Blore.
Thank you, that's it.
What will you begin with?
Coming to the garden, Maud. I've begun with Coming to the Garden, Maud, for years and years.
He opens the music roll. It is empty.
Oh, Miss Jedd, I've forgotten my music.
Oh, Major Tarver!
Oh.
Tarver, with a groan of despair, sinks onto the settee.
Never mind. Mr. Darbey will play.
Darbey, tuning his violin.
Will you accompany me?
Sheba, raising her eyes.
To the end of the world.
She sits at the piano.
My mother says that my bowing is something like Joachim's, and she ought to know.
Why?
Oh, because she's heard Joachim.
Darbey plays, and Sheba accompanies him. Salome sits beside Tarver. Georgiana to herself.
Well, after all, George, my boy, you're not stabled in such a bad box. Here is a regular, pure, simple English evening at home.
The Dean mumbling to himself.
£1,000 to the Restoration Fund, and all those bills to settle. Oh dear, oh dear, what shall I do?
Salome to herself.
I hope my ball dress will drive all the other women mad.
Tarver to himself, glaring at Darbey.
I feel I should like to garrote him with his bass string.
Georgiana, frowning at her betting book.
I think I shall hedge a bit over the Crumbly stakes.
Darbey, as he plays, glancing at Tarver.
I wonder how old Tarver's chest C likes a holiday.
Sheba, as she plays.
We must get Pa to bed early. Dear Papa's always so dreadfully in the way.
Georgiana, looking around.
No, there's nothing like it in any other country. A regular, pure, simple English evening at home.
Blore enters quickly, cutting the Times with a paper knife as he enters.
The paper's just arrived.
The music stops abruptly. All the ladies glare at Blore and hush him down.
Shh!
The Dean, taking the paper from Blore.
This is my fault. There may be something in the Times of special interest to me. Thank you, Blore.
Blore goes out.
Ha ha ha! Spoils his pianissimo.
The Dean, scanning the paper.
Oh, I can't believe it.
What's the matter?
Papa!
The Dean?
The Dean!
Children, Georgiana, friends, my magnificent offer has produced the desired result.
Oh!
7 wealthy people, including 3 brewers, have come forward with £1,000 apiece in aid of the restoration of the minster spire.
That means a cool 1,000 out of your pocket, Gus.
Yes.
Reading.
The anxiety to which the Dean of St Marvell's has so long been a victim will now doubtless be relieved.
With his hand to his head.
I suppose I shall feel the relief tomorrow.
What's wrong with the spire? Nobody sleeps in it.
It is a little out of repair, but hardly sufficiently so as to warrant the presumptuous interference of 3 brewers. Excuse me, I think I'll enjoy the fresh air for a moment.
He goes to the window and draws back the curtains. A bright red glare is seen in the sky.
Bless me, look there!
Oh, what's that?
It's a conflagration.
Salome, clinging to Tarver.
Where is it? Are we safe?
Sheba, clinging to Darbey.
Where is it? Are we safe?
Where is it?
Blore enters with a scared look. The Dean, to Blore.
Where is it?
Where is it?
Where is it?
The old Swan Inn's afire.
The gate bell is heard ringing violently in the distance. Blore goes out. Georgiana, uttering a loud screech.
The Swan Inn. You girls, get me a hat and coat. Somebody fetch me a pair of boots.
Salome, Sheba and Tarver go to the window.
Georgiana!
Don't talk to me.
To Tarver.
Lend me your boots.
I daren't, if I once got cold extremities.
She is going. The Dean stops her.
Respect yourself, Georgiana. Where are you going?
Going? I'm going to help clear the stables at the Swan.
Remember what you are. My sister. A lady.
I'm not. George Tidd's a man. Every inch of her.
Sir Tristram rushes in breathlessly. Georgiana rushes at him and clutches his coat.
Trismarden, speak.
Sir Tristram, exhausted.
Oh!
The horse! The horse! You've got him out?
You're safe and sound.
Safe and sound. That old horse has backed himself to win the handicap.
She sinks into a chair. Tarver and Darbey, with Salome and Sheba, stand looking out of the window.
George, his tail is singed a bit.
The less weight for him to carry tomorrow. Oh, dear old dandy. He never was much to look at.
The worst of it is the fool's threw 2 pails of cold water over him to put it out.
Oh, that's done him.
Now, my dear Georgiana, what is a horse?
A living example to a dean.
The Dean goes distractedly into the library.
Where is the animal?
My man Hatcham is running him up and down the lane here to try to get him warm again.
Where are you going to put the homeless beast up now?
I don't know.
Georgiana, starting up.
I do, though.
Madwoman, what are you going to do?
Bring Dandy Dick into our stables.
No, no!
The very place.
Georgiana, pray consider me.
So I will, when you've had 2 pails of water thrown over you.
The Dean walks about in despair.
Marden, I appeal to you.
Oh, Dean, I'm ashamed of you.
Georgiana, to Sir Tristram.
Are you ready?
Sir Tristram takes off his coat and throws it over Georgiana's shoulders.
George, you're a brick.
A brick, am I?
Quietly to him.
One partner pulls Dandy out of the Swan, the other leads Dandy into the Deanery. Quits, my lad.
They go out together.
What is happening to me? It will be in all the sporting papers. Sir Tristram Marden's Dandy Dick reflected great credit upon the Deanery stables. The sporting dean!
He walks into the library, where he sinks into a chair, as Salome, Tarver, Darbey and Sheba come from the window.
They're getting the flames under. If I had had my goloshes with me, I should have been here, there and everywhere.
Where there's a crowd of civilians, the military exercise a wide discretion in restraining themselves.
Sheba, to Tarver and Darbey.
You had better go now. Then we'll get the house quiet as soon as possible. Poor Papa looks worried.
Poor
Papa.
We will wait with the carriage in the lane.
Yes, yes.
Calling.
Papa, Major Tarver and Mr. Darbey must go.
She rings the bell. The Dean comes from the library.
Dear me, I'm very remiss.
Tarver, shaking hands.
Most fascinating evening.
Darbey, shaking hands.
Charming, my dear Dean.
Blore enters.
Major Tarver's carriage.
At the gate, Miss Salome.
Don't risk the cold, Papa.
Blore goes out, followed by Sheba, Salome and Tarver. Darbey is going when he returns to the Dean.
By the by, my dear Dean, come over and see me. We ought to know more of each other. Say Monday.
The Dean, restraining his anger.
I will not say Monday.
Any time you like. Oh, and I say, let me know when you preach and I'll get some of our fellows to give their patronage.
He goes out. The Dean, closing the door after him with a bang.
Another moment, and I fear I should have been violently rude to him, a guest under my roof.
He walks up to the fireplace and stands looking into the fire, as Darbey, having forgotten his violin, returns to the room.
Oh, Blore, now understand me. If that Mr. Darbey ever again presumes to present himself at the Deanery, I will not see him.
Darbey, with his violin in his hand, haughtily,
I've come back for my violin.
Goes out with dignity. The Dean, horrified.
Oh, Mr. Darbey. Hear an explanation, Mr. Darbey.
He runs out after Darbey. Georgiana and Sir Tristram enter by the window.
Oh, don't be down, Tris, my boy. Cheer up, lad. He'll be fit yet, bar a chill. He knew me. He knew me when I kissed his dear old nose.
He'd be a fool of a horse if he didn't feel deuced flattered at that.
He's no fool. He knows he's in the Deanery, too. Did you see him cast up his eyes and lay his ears back when I let him in?
Oh, George, it's such a pity about his tail.
Georgiana, cheerily.
Ah, not it. You watch his head tomorrow. That'll come in first.
Hatcham, a groom, looks in at the window.
Are you there, sir?
What is it?
I just run round to tell you that Dandy is a-feedin' as steady as a baby with a bottle.
Don't you close your eyes all night.
Not me, Mum. And I've got hold of the constable here, Mr. Topping. He's going to sit up with me, for company's sake.
The constable?
Yes, Sir Tristram.
Coming forward mysteriously.
Why, bless you and the lady, sir. Supposin' the fire at the Swan weren't no accident.
Eh?
Supposin' it were incendiarism, and supposin' our horse was the object.
Good gracious!
That's why I ain't going to watch single-handed.
Get back, then. Get back!
Sir Tristram and Georgiana pace up and down excitedly.
Right, sir. There's only one mortal fear I've got about our Dandy.
What's that?
He hasn't found out about his tail yet, sir. And when he does, it'll fret him, as sure as my name's Bob Hatcham.
Keep the stable pitch dark. He mayn't notice it.
Not tonight, sir, but he's a proud horse, and what'll he think of himself on the hill tomorrow? You and me and the lady, sir, it'd be different with us, but how's our Dandy to hide his bereavement?
Hatcham goes out of the window with Sir Tristram as the Dean enters, followed by Blore, who carries a lighted lantern. The Dean, looking reproachfully at Georgiana.
You have returned, Georgiana?
Yes, thank you.
And that animal?
In our stables, safe and snug.
Oh.
You can sleep tonight with the happy consciousness of having sheltered the outcast.
We're locking up now. The poor children, exhausted with the alarm, beg me to say good night for them. The fire is quite extinguished?
Yes, sir. But I hear they've just sent into Durnston, asking for the military to watch the ruins in case of another outbreak. It'll stop the wicked ball at the Athenaeum, it will.
Drawing the window curtains, Sir Tristram, having re-entered.
I suppose you want to see the last of me, Jedd?
Marden.
Don't be unkind, Tris. Where shall we stow the dear old chap, Gus, my boy?
Where shall we stow the dear old chap? I really don't know.
Let me see. We don't want to pitch you out of your loft, if we can help it, Gus.
No, no, we won't do that.
Don't consider me in this manner. But there's Sheba's little cot still standing in the old nursery.
Just the thing for me, the old nursery.
The old nursery. Toys to play with if you wake early.
The Dean, looking round.
Is there anyone else before we lock up?
Blore has fastened the window and drawn the curtain.
Put Sir Tristram to bed carefully in the nursery, Blore.
Sir Tristram, grasping the Dean's hand.
Good night, old boy. I'm too done for a hand of piquet tonight.
I never play cards.
Sir Tristram, slapping him on the back.
I'll teach you during my stay at the Deanery.
The Dean, helplessly to himself.
Then he's staying with me.
Good night, George.
Good night, partner. Heaven bless the little innocent in his cot.
Sir Tristram goes out with Blore. Georgiana, calling after him.
Tris, you may take your pipe up with you. We smoke all over the Deanery.
The Dean, to himself.
I never smoke. Does she?
Georgiana closes the door, humming a tune merrily.
Tra-la-la-la-la. Now, Mr. Tid, we'll toddle. Ta-da-ta-da.
She stops, looking at the Dean, who is muttering to himself.
Gus, I don't like your looks. I shall let the vet see you in the morning. What's wrong with you?
The Dean shakes his head mournfully and sinks on the settee.
Money?
There are bills, which, at a more convenient time, it will be my grateful duty to discharge.
And you're short.
Short?
Stumped, out of coin. Run low. What'll square the bills?
Very little would settle the bills, but...
I know, the spire. Why, Gus, you haven't got that 1,000.
There is a very large number of estimable worthy men who do not possess 1,000 pounds. With that number I have the mournful pleasure of enrolling myself.
When's the settling day?
Eh?
When will you have to fork out?
Unless the restoration is immediately commenced, the spire will certainly crumble.
Then it's a match between you and the spire, which parts first. Gus, will you let your little sister lend you a hand?
My dear Georgiana, impossible.
No, not out of my own pocket. Come here.
She takes his arm and whispers in his ear.
Can you squeeze a pair of ponies?
Can I what?
Can you raise 50 pounds?
Certainly, more than 50 pounds.
No, don't be rash. That's the worst of you beginners. Only 50 by tomorrow morning.
Most assuredly.
Very well, then. Clap it onto Dandy Dick.
What?
He's a certainty, if those 2 buckets of water haven't put him off it. He's a moral, if he doesn't think of his tail coming down the hill. There's nothing like him at the weight. Keep it dark, Gus. Don't breathe a word to any of your canons or archdeacons, or they'll rush at it and shorten the price for us. Go in, Gus, my boy. Take your poor widowed sister's tip and sleep as peacefully as a blessed baby.
She presses him warmly to her and kisses him. The Dean extricating himself.
Oh, Mrs. Tidman, go to your room.
Augustin.
In the morning I will endeavour to frame some verbal expression of the horror with which I regard your proposal. For the present you are my parent's child, and I trust your bed is well aired.
Oh, very well, Augustin. I've done all I can for the spire. Bonsoir, old boy.
Good night.
If you're wiser in the morning, just send Blore on to the course, and he'll put the money on for you.
Blore! My poor devoted old servant would be lost on a race-course.
Would he? He was quite at home in Tattersall Ring when I was at St Marvell's last summer.
Blore?
Blore. I recognized the veteran sportsman the moment I came into the Deanery.
What was my butler doing at St Marvell's races?
Blore enters with his lantern.
Investing the savings of your cook and housemaid, of course. You don't think your servants are as narrow as you are.
Oh!
I beg your pardon, sir. Shall I go the rounds, sir?
The Dean gives Blore a fierce look, but Blore beams sweetly.
Blore!
Mum?
Breakfast at 9 sharp, and pack a hamper with a cold chicken, some French rolls, and 2 bottles of Heidsieck. Label it George Tidd, and send it on to the hill. I'll stand the racket. Good night.
She goes out. The Dean sinks into a chair and clasps his forehead.
Oh, dear high-spirited lady.
Leaning over the Dean.
Aren't you well, sir?
Serpent!
Meaning me, sir?
Lock up. I'll speak to you in the morning. Lock up.
Blore goes into the library, turns out the lamp there, and disappears.
What dreadful wave threatens to engulf the Deanery? What has come to us in a few fatal hours? A horse of sporting tendencies contaminating my stables, its equally vicious owner nestling in the nursery, and my own widowed sister, in all probability smoking a cigarette at her bedroom window with her feet on the window ledge.
Listening?
What's that?
He peers through the window curtains.
I thought I heard footsteps in the garden. I can see nothing, only the old spire standing out against the threatening sky.
Leaving the window shudderingly.
The spire. My principal creditor. My principal creditor, the most conspicuous object in the city.
Blore re-enters with his lantern, carrying some banknotes in his hand. Blore, laying the notes on the table.
I found these, sir, on your dressing table. They're banknotes, sir.
The Dean, taking the notes.
Thank you. I placed them there to be sent to the bank tomorrow.
Counting the notes.
10, 10, 20, 5, 5, 50. £50. The very sum Georgiana urged me to... Oh!
To Blore, waving him away.
Leave me! Go to bed! Go to bed! Go to bed!
Blore is going.
Blore!
Sir?
What made you tempt me with these at such a moment?
Tempt you, sir? The window was open, and I feared they might blow away.
The Dean, catching him by the coat collar.
Man, what were you doing at St Marvell's races last summer?
Blore, with a cry, falling on his knees.
Oh, sir! Oh, sir! I knew that high-spirited lady would bring grief and sorrow to peaceful, happy Deanery. Oh, sir, I have done a little on my own account from time to time on the ill, also on a commission for the kitchen.
I knew it! I knew it!
Oh, sir, you are a old gentleman. Turn a charitable art to the races. It is a vicious institution which spends more ready money at St Marvell's than us good people do in a year.
Get up, Blore, get up! Oh, Edward Blore! Edward Blore, what weak creatures we are!
We are, sir, we are. Especially when we've got a tip, sir. Think of the temptation of a tip, sir.
I do, Blore, I do!
I confess everything, sir. Bonnie Betsy's bound for to win the handicap.
No, no, she isn't.
She is, sir.
I know better. She can never get down the hill with those legs of hers.
She can, sir. What's to beat her?
The horse in my stable, Dandy Dick.
Dandy Dick? That old bit of mahogany, sir. They are laying 10 to 1 against him.
The Dean, with hysterical eagerness.
Are they? I'll take it! I'll take it!
Lord love you, sir. For how much?
50! Here's the money!
Impulsively he crams the notes into Blore's hand, and then recoils in horror.
Oh!
Sinks into a chair with a groan. Blore, in a whisper.
Lord, who'd have thought the Dean was such a ardent sportsman at heart? He doesn't give me my notice after this.
To the Dean.
Of course, it's understood, sir, that we keep our little weaknesses dark. Outwardly, sir, we remain respectable, and I hope respected.
Putting the notes into his pocket.
I wish you good night, sir.
He walks to the door. The Dean makes an effort to recall him, but fails.
And that old man has been my pattern and example for years and years. Oh, Edward Blore, your hider was shattered.
Turning to the Dean.
Good night, sir. May your dreams be calm and happy, and may you have a good run for your money.
Blore goes out. The Dean gradually recovers his self-possession.
I am upset tonight, Blore. Of course, you leave this day month.
Looking round.
Blore, he's gone. If I don't call him back, the spire may be richer tomorrow by £500. I won't dwell on it. I'll read.
Snatches a book at haphazard from the bookshelf. There is the sound of falling rain and distant thunder.
Rain. Thunder. How it assimilates with the tempest of my mind. I'll read. Bless me. This is very strange.
Reading.
The Horse and Its Ailments by John Cox, MRCVS. It was with the aid of this volume that I used to doctor my poor old mare at Oxford. A leaf turned down.
Reading.
Simple remedies for chills. The bolus. The helpless beast in my stable is suffering from a chill. Good gracious! If I allow Blore to risk my £50 on Dandy Dick, surely it would be advisable to administer this bolus to the poor animal without delay.
Referring to the book hastily.
I have these drugs in my chest. There's not a moment to be lost.
Going to the bell and ringing.
I shall want help. I'll fetch my medicine chest.
He lays the book upon the table and goes into the library. Blore enters. Blore, looking round.
Where is he? The bell rang. The Dean's puzzling me with his uncommon behaviour, that is.
The Dean comes from the library, carrying a large medicine chest. On encountering Blore, he starts and turns away his head, the picture of guilt.
Blore, I feel it would be a humane act to administer to the poor ignorant animal in my stable a simple bolus as a precaution against chill. I rely upon your aid and discretion in ministering to any guest in the Deanery.
Blore, in a whisper.
I see, sir. You ain't going to lose half a chance for tomorrow, sir. You're a knowing one, sir, as the saying goes.
The Dean, shrinking from Blore with a groan.
Oh!
He places the medicine chest on the table and takes up the book. Handing the book to Blore with his finger on a page.
Fetch these humble but necessary articles from the kitchen, quick. I'll mix the bolus here.
Blore goes out quickly.
It is exactly 27 years since I last approached a horse medically.
He takes off his coat and lays it on a chair, then rolls his shirt sleeves up above his elbows and puts on his glasses.
I trust this bolus will not give the animal an unfair advantage over his competitors. I don't desire that.
Blore re-enters, carrying a tray, on which are a small flour barrel and rolling pin, a white china basin, a carafe of water, a napkin, and the book. The Dean recoils, then guiltily takes the tray from Blore and puts it on the table.
Thank you.
Blore, holding on to the window curtain and watching the Dean.
His eyes is awful. I don't seem to know of a happy Deanery when I see such proceedings a-going on at the dead of night.
There is a heavy roll of thunder. The Dean mixes a pudding and stirs it with the rolling pin.
The old, half-forgotten time returns to me. I am once again a promising youth at college.
Blore, to himself.
One would think by his looks that he was going to poison his family instead of poison. Poison? Oh, if anything serious happened to the animal in our stable, there would be nothing in the way of bonny Betsy, the deserving horse I've trusted with my hard-earned savings.
I am walking once again in the old streets of Oxford, avoiding the shops where I owe my youthful bills. Bills!
He pounds away vigorously with the rolling pin. Blore, to himself.
Where's the stuff I got a month ago to destroy the whole black retriever that fell ill?
Bills!
The dog died. The poison's in my pantry. It couldn't have got used for cooking purposes.
I see the broad meadows and the tall spire of the college. The spire. Oh, my whole life seems made up of bills and spires.
Blore, to himself.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Unseen by the Dean, he quickly and quietly steals out by the door.
Where are the drugs? The drugs!
Opening the medicine chest and bending down over the bottles, he pours some drops from a bottle into the basin, counting.
3, 4, 5, 6.
He replaces the bottle and takes another.
How fortunate some animals are.
Counting.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's done.
Taking up the medicine chest, he goes with it into the library. As he disappears, Blore re-enters stealthily, fingering a small paper packet. Blore, in a whisper.
Strychnine.
There's a heavy roll of thunder. Blore darts to the table, empties the contents of the packet into the basin, and stirs vigorously with the rolling pin.
I've cooked Dandy Dick. I've cooked Dandy Dick.
He moves from the table in horror.
Oh, I'm only an amateur sportsman, and I can't afford uncertainty.
As the Dean returns, Blore starts up guiltily.
Can I help you any more, sir?
No, remove these dreadful things, and don't let me see you again tonight.
Sits with the basin on his knees and proceeds to roll the paste. Blore, removing the tray.
It's only an horse. It's only an horse. But after tomorrow I'll retire from the turf, if only to reclaim him.
He goes out, the Dean putting on his coat.
I don't contemplate my humane task with resignation. The stable is small, and if the animal is restive, we shall be cramped for room.
The rain is heard.
I shall get a chill too.
Seeing Sir Tristram's coat and cap lying upon the settee,
I am sure Marden will lend me this gladly.
Putting on the coat, which completely envelops him.
The animal may recognize the garment, and receive me with kindly feelings.
Putting on the sealskin cap, which almost conceals his face.
Ugh, why do I feel this dreadful sinking at the heart?
Taking the basin and turning out the lamp.
Oh, if all followers of the veterinary science are as truly wretched as I am, what a noble band they must be.
The thunder rolls as he goes through the window curtains. Sir Tristram then enters quietly, smoking, and carrying a lighted candle.
All right. Fire still burning?
Blowing out the candle.
I shall doze here till daybreak. What a night! I never thought there was so much thunder in these small country places.
Georgiana, looking pale and agitated, and wearing a dressing gown, enters quickly, carrying an umbrella and a lighted candle.
Which is the nearer way to the stable? I must satisfy myself. I must.
Going to the door. Sir Tristram, rising suddenly.
Hello? Hush!
Georgiana, holding out her umbrella.
Stand where you are, or I'll fire.
Recognizing Sir Tristram.
Tris.
Why, George!
Oh, Tris, I've been dreaming.
Falling helplessly against Sir Tristram, who deposits her in a chair.
Oh, don't look at me. I'm overtrained. I shall be on my legs again in a minute.
She opens her umbrella and hides herself behind it, sobbing violently. Sir Tristram, standing over the umbrella in great concern.
My goodness! George, whatever shall I do? Shall I trot you up and down outside?
Be quiet. What are you fooling about here for? Why can't you lie quietly in your cot?
Confound that cot! Why, it wouldn't hold my photograph. Where are you going?
Into the stable to sit with Dandy. The thunder's awful in my room. When it gets tired, it seems to sit down on my particular bit of roof. I did doze once, and then I had a frightful dream. I dreamt that Dandy had sold himself to a circus, and that they were hooting him because he had lost his tail. There's an omen.
Don't. Be a man, George, be a man.
Georgiana, shutting her umbrella.
I know, I'm dreadfully effeminate. There. 'Tis himself again.
Bravo!
Ah, Tris, don't think me soft, old man. I'm a lonely, unlucky woman, and the tail end of this horse is all that's left me in the world to love and to cling to.
No, by Jove, I'm not such a mean cur as that. Swap halves and take his head, George, my boy.
Oh, not I. I'm like a doting mother to my share of Dandy, and it's all the dearer because it's an invalid. I'm off.
Come along.
Turning towards the window, she following him, he suddenly stops and looks at her and seizes her hand.
George, I never guessed that you were so tender-hearted.
Well, I'm not.
And you've robbed me tonight of an old friend, a pal.
What do you mean?
I mean that I seem to have dropped the acquaintance of George Tidder Squire forever.
Tris, no.
I have, but I've got an introduction to his twin sister Georgiana.
Georgiana, snatching her hand away angrily.
Stay where you are. I'll nurse my half alone.
She goes towards the window, then starts back.
Hush!
What's the matter?
Didn't you hear something?
Where?
Georgiana, pointing to the window.
There.
Sir Tristram, peeping through the curtains.
You're right. Some people moving about the garden.
Tris, the horse.
They're not near the stables. They're coming in here. Hush! We'll clear out and watch.
Sir Tristram takes the candlestick, and they go out, leaving the room in darkness. The curtains at the window are pushed aside, and Salome and Sheba enter, both in their fancy dresses. Salome, in a rage, lighting the candles on the mantelpiece.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
Oh! Oh! No ball after all!
If we only had a brother to avenge us!
I shall try and borrow a brother tomorrow.
Cold, wretched, splashed, in debt, for nothing!
To think that we've had all the inconvenience of being wicked and rebellious and have only half done it.
This comes of stooping to the military.
It serves us right. We've been trained for clergymen's wives. I hate Nugent Darby. I hope he may grow bald early.
General Tarver's nose is inclined to pink. May it deepen and deepen till it frightens cows.
Voices are heard from the curtained window recess. Darbey, outside.
Miss Jedd! Sheba!
Tarver, outside.
Pray hear to wretched men, Miss Jedd.
Salome, in a whisper.
There they are.
Shall we grant them a dignified interview?
Yes. Curl your lip, Sheba.
You curl your lip better than I. I'll dilate my nostrils.
Salome draws aside the curtain. Tarver and Darbey enter. They are both very badly and shabbily dressed as cavaliers. Tarver, a most miserable object, carrying a carriage umbrella.
Oh, don't reproach us, Miss Jedd. It isn't our fault that the military were summoned to St Marvell's.
You don't blame officers and gentlemen for responding to the sacred call of duty.
We blame officers for subjecting 2 motherless girls to the shock of alighting at the Durnstone Athenaeum to find a notice on the front door. Ball knocked on the head. Vivat Regina.
We blame gentlemen for inflicting upon us the unspeakable agony of being jeered at by boys.
I took the address of the boy who suggested that we should call again on the 5th of November. It's on the back of your admission card.
Everything will be done. We shall both wait on the boy's mother for an explanation.
Oh, smile on us once again, Miss Jedd. A forced hollow smile, if you will. Only smile, Salome.
Georgiana enters.
Salome, Sheba.
Aunt!
You bad girls.
Salome, weeping.
No, Aunt, no!
Not bad, Aunt. Trustful and confiding.
Georgiana, advancing to Tarver.
How dare you encourage these two simple children to enjoy themselves? How dare you take them out without their aunt? Do you think I can't keep a thing quiet?
They didn't even ask Papa's permission.
Poor Papa.
Poor dear Papa.
Georgiana, shaking Tarver.
I'm speaking to you, Field Marshal.
Madam, you are addressing an invalid.
We shall be happy to receive your representative in the morning. At present, we are on duty.
On heavy duty.
Guarding the ruins of the Swan Inn. You mustn't distract our attention.
Guarding the ruins of the Swan, are you?
Calling.
Tris! Sir Tristram!
Sir Tristram appears.
Tris, I'm a feeble woman, but I hope I have a keen sense of right and wrong. Run these outsiders into the road, and let them guard their own ruins.
Salome and Sheba shriek, and throw themselves at the feet of Tarver and Darbey, clinging to their legs.
Ah! No, no, spare him!
You shall not harm a hair of their heads.
Sir Tristram twists Tarver's wig round, so that it covers his face. The gate bell is heard ringing violently.
What's that?
It will wake Papa.
Stop the bell.
Georgiana runs to the door and opens it. Salome to Tarver and Darbey.
Fly!
Tarver and Darbey disappear through the curtains at the window. Sheba falling into Salome's arms.
We have saved them.
Oh, Tris, your man from the stable.
Hatcham!
Georgiana calling.
Hatcham!
Hatcham, carrying the basin with the bolus, runs in breathlessly, followed by Blore.
Oh, Sir Tristram.
What is it?
The villain that set fire to the Swan, sir, in the act of administering a dose to the oars.
Ah, nobbling our dandy.
Where is the scoundrel?
Topping, the constable's collared him, sir. He's taken him in a cart to the lockup.
Oh!
Blore, in agony.
They've got the Dean.
End of the second act. Act 3 of Dandy Dick by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3. The next day. Scene 1. The Strongbox, St Marvell's. Scene 2. The Deanery again. The curtain will be lowered for a few minutes between the two scenes. The first scene is the interior of a country police station. A quaint old room with plaster walls, oaken beams, and a Gothic mullioned window looking onto the street. A massive door, with a small sliding wicket and an iron grating, opens to a prisoner's cell. The room is partly furnished as a kitchen, partly as a police station. A copy of the police regulations and other official documents and implements hanging on the wall. It is the morning after the events of the previous act. Hannah, a buxom, fresh-looking young woman, in a print gown, has been engaged in cooking, while singing gaily. Opening a door and calling with a slight dialect.
Noah, darling.
Noah, from another room, in a rough country voice.
Yes.
You'll have your dinner before you drive your prisoner over to Durnston, won't you, darling?
Yes.
Hannah, closing the door.
Yes. Noah's in a nice temper today over Summit. Ah, well, I suppose all public characters is liable to irritation.
There is a knock at the outer door. Hannah, opening it, sees Blore with a troubled look on his face.
Well, I never. Mr. Blore from the Deanery. Come in. You might knock me down with a...
Blore, entering and shaking hands mournfully.
How do you do, Mrs. Topping?
And how is the dear Dean, bless him, the sweetest soul in the world?
Blore to himself.
Good gracious, she doesn't know of our misfortune.
To Hannah.
I haven't seen him this morning.
Well, this is real kind of you calling on an old friend, Edward. When I think that I were cook at the Deanery 7 years, and that since I left you to get wedded not a soul of you has been nigh me, it do seem hard.
Well, you see, Anna, the kitchen took umbrage at your marrying a policeman at Durnston. It was regarded as a mésalliance.
Well, now Mr. Topping's got the appointment of head constable at St Marvell's. What's that regarded as?
A rise on the scales, Hannah. A decided rise. But still you've only been a week in St Marvell's, and you've got to fight your way up.
I think I'm as hop as ever I'm like to be.
However, Jane and Sarah and Willis, the stable boy, have unbent so far as to ask me to leave their cards, knowing I was a-calling.
He produces from an old leather pocket-book 3 very dirty pieces of pasteboard, which he gives to Hannah. Hannah, taking them in her apron with pride.
Thank 'em kindly. When's their evening?
They receive on Tuesdays, at the side gate. And how are you, my dear?
Kissing her cheek.
Don't, Edward Blore.
Don't? When you was Miss Heavens, there wasn't these social barriers, Anna?
Shut up. Noah's jealous of the very apron strings what go round my waist. I'm not so free and handy with my kisses now, I can tell you.
Then what is friendship but a name? But Mr. Topping isn't indoors now, surely.
Hannah, nodding her head.
Why, he took a man up last night.
What of it?
Why, I thought that when any arrest was made in St Marvell's, the prisoner was lodged here only for the night, and that the head constable had to drive him over to Durnston police station the first thing in the morning.
That's the rule, but Noah's behindhand today and ain't going into Durnston till after dinner.
Then the prisoner is on the premises?
Yes, he's in our cell.
Oh, and where is the apartment in question?
The cell? That's it.
Blore, looking round in horror.
Oh!
The strong box, they call it in St Marvell's.
Oh, my goodness. Only fancy.
Whimpering to himself.
And am accustomed to his shaving water at 8. Am I kindly hin to button his gaiters? Oh, here's a warning.
Whatever is the matter with you, Edward?
Anna, my dear, it's this very prisoner what I have called on you respecting.
Oh, then the honour ain't a compliment to me after all, Mr. Blore.
I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone, my dear.
Hannah, throwing the cards into Blore's hat.
You can take them back to the Deanery with Mrs. Topping's comps.
Blore, shaking the cards out of his hat and replacing them in his pocket-book.
I will leave them on you again tomorrow, Anna. But, Anna dearie, do you know that this unfortunate man was took in our stables last night?
No, I never ask no one nothing about Queen's business. He don't want 2 women over him.
Then you haven't seen the miserable culprit?
Lord, no. I was in bed hours when Noah brought him home. I take no interest in it all. They tell us it's only a wretched poacher or a petty larcery we'll get in St Marvell's. My poor Noah ain't never likely to have the chance of a horrid murder in a place what returns a Conservative. Ah, my joint's burning.
Kneeling to look into the oven.
But, Anna, suppose this case you got hold of now is a case what will shake old England to its basis. Suppose it means columns in the paper with Topping's name a-figuring. Suppose this family reading it hold its own with divorce cases.
Hullo, you know something about this arrest, you do.
No, I don't. I merely said suppose. I merely wish to encourage you, Anna, to implant an hope that crime may brighten your wedded life.
Hannah, sitting at the table and referring to an official book.
The man was found trespassing in the Deanery stables with intent. Refuses to give his name or any account of himself.
Blore, to himself.
If I could only find out whether Dandy Dick had any of the medicine, it would so guide me at the races. What am I to do? It doesn't appear that the horse in the stables took it, does it?
Hannah, looking up sharply.
Took what?
Took fright. You're sure there's no confession of any sort, Anna dear?
As he is bending over Hannah, Noah Topping appears. Noah is a dense-looking, ugly countryman, with red hair, a bristling beard, and a vindictive leer. He's dressed in ill-fitting clothes, as a rural police constable. Noah, fiercely.
Hannah!
Hannah, starting and replacing the book.
Oh, don't! This is Mr. Blore from the Deanery come to see us. An old friend of mine.
Blore advances to Noah with a nervous smile, extending his hand. Noah, taking Blore's hand and holding it firmly.
A friend of hern is a friend of mine.
I hope so, Mr. Topping. I thank you.
She's getting me a lot of nice new friends this week, since we come to St Marvell's.
Of course, dear Anna was a loving favourite with everybody.
Ah, well then, as her friends be mine, I'm taking the liberty, one by one, of gradually dropping on 'em all.
Blore, getting his hand away.
Dear me.
And if I catch any old fly buzzing around my lady, I'll venture to break his head with my staff.
Oh, Noah!
Blore, preparing to depart.
I merely called to know if anything had been found out about the ruffian took in our stables last night.
Is that your business?
It's my master's business.
He's the Dean, isn't he?
Yes, Noah, of course.
Noah, fiercely.
Shut up, darling. Very well, then. Give Mr. Topping's respects to the Dean, and say I'll run up to the Deanery and see him after I've took my man over to Durnston.
Thank you. I hope the Dean will be at home. Good day, Anna. Good day, Mr. Topping.
Offering his hand, into which Noah significantly places his truncheon. Blore goes out quickly. Hannah, whimpering.
Oh, Noah, Noah, I don't believe as we shall ever get a large circle of friends round us.
Now then.
Selecting a pair of handcuffs and examining them critically.
Them'll do.
Slipping them into his pocket and turning upon Hannah suddenly.
Hannah?
Yes, Snorri?
Brighten up, me darling. The little time you have me at home with you.
Yes, Snorri.
She bustles about and begins to lay the cloth.
I'm just a-going round to the stable to put old Nick in the cart.
Oh, don't you trust to Nick, Noah, dear. He's such a vicious brute. Kitty's safer in the cart.
Shut up, darling. Nick can take me onto the edge of the hill in half the time.
The hill?
Oh, what do you think I've put off taking my man to Durnston to now for? Why, I'm a-going to get a glimpse of the racing on me way over.
Opening the wicket in the cell door and looking in.
There he is, sulky.
To Hannah.
Open the oven door, Anna, and let the smell of the cooking get into him.
Oh, no, Noah, it's torture.
Do as I tell 'ee.
She opens the oven door.
Torture? Of course it's torture. That's my rule. Whenever I get a hold of a darned obstinate creature what won't reveal his identity, I opens the oven door.
He goes out into the street, and as he departs, the woeful face of the Dean appears at the wicket, his head being still enveloped in the fur cap. Hannah, shutting the oven door.
Not me. Torturing prisoners might have done for the Middle Ages what Noah's always clattering about, but not for my time of life. I'll shut that wicket.
Crossing close to the wicket, her face almost comes against the Dean's. She gives a cry.
The Dean!
Oh!
He disappears.
Oh, no, not my old master, never the master.
Tottering to the wicket and looking in.
Master, look at me. It's Hannah, your poor faithful servant. Hannah.
The face of the Dean reappears.
Hannah Evans.
It's Hannah Topping, nee Evans, wife of the constable what's going to take you to cruel Durnstone.
Sinking weeping upon the ground at the door.
Oh, Mr. Dean, sir, what have you been up to? What have you been up to? What have you been up to?
Woman, I am the victim of a misfortune only partially merited.
Hannah, on her knees, clasping her hands.
Tell me what you've done, master dear. Give it a name for the love of goodness.
My poor Hannah, I fear I have placed myself in an equivocal position.
Ah!
Be quiet, woman.
Is it a change of cooking that's brought you to such ways? I cooked for you for 7 happy years.
The Dean, sniffing.
Alas, you seem to have lost none of your culinary skill.
Master, are you hungry?
I am sorely tried by your domestic preparations.
Hannah, with clenched hands and a determined look.
Oh!
Quickly locking and bolting the street door.
No, I can't put that brute of a horse to under 10 minutes. The duplicate key or the strong box.
Producing a large key with which she unlocks the cell door.
Master, you'll give me your patrol not to cut, won't you?
Under any other circumstances, Hannah, I should resent that insinuation.
Don't resent nothing. Shove. Shove your hardest, Dean dear.
Pulling the door, which opens sufficiently to let out the Dean. The Dean, as he enters the room.
Good day, Hannah. You have bettered yourself, I hope?
Hannah, hysterically flinging herself upon the Dean.
Oh, master, master!
The Dean, putting her from him sternly.
Hannah, Mrs. Topping.
Oh, I know, but crime levels all, dear sir.
You appear to misapprehend the precise degree of criminality which attaches to me, Mrs. Topping. In the eyes of that majestic but imperfect instrument, the law, I am an innocent if not an injured man.
Ah, stick to that, sir. Stick to it if you think it's likely to serve your wicked ends.
Placing bread with other things on the table.
My good woman, a single word from me to those at the Deanery would instantly restore me to home, family, and accustomed diet.
Ah, they all tell that tale what comes here. Why don't you send word, Dean dear?
Because it would involve revelations of my temporary moral aberration.
Hannah, putting her apron to her eyes with a howl.
Oh!
Because I should return to the Deanery with my dignity, that priceless possession of a man's middle age, with my dignity seriously impaired.
Oh, don't, sir, don't!
How could I face my simple children who have hitherto, not unreasonably, regarded me as faultless? How could I again walk erect in the streets of St Marvell's, with my name blazoned on the records of a police station of the very humblest description?
Sinking into a chair and snatching up a piece of bread, which he begins munching. Hannah, wiping her eyes.
Oh, sir, it's a treat to hear you compared with the ordinary criminal class. But, master dear, though I know I don't recognize you, through his being a stranger to St Marvell's, how'll you fare when you get to Durnstone?
I have one great buoyant hope, that a word in the ear of the Durnston superintendent will send me forth an unquestioned man. You and he will be the sole keepers of my precious secret. May its possession be a lasting comfort to you both.
Master, is what you've told me your only chance of getting off unknown?
It is the sole remaining chance of averting a calamity of almost national importance.
Then you're as done as that joint in my oven.
Woman.
The superintendent at Durnstone, John Ruggles, also the 2 inspectors, Whittaker and Parker.
Well?
Them and their wives and families are chapel folk.
No.
Yes.
The Dean totters across to a chair, into which he sinks, with his head upon the table.
Master, listen.
It's all over. It's all over.
No, listen. I was well fed and kept 7 years at the Deanery. I've been wed to Noah topping 8 weeks. That's 6 years and 10 months loving duty due to you and yours before I owe nothing to my darling Noah. Master dear, you shan't be took to Durnstone.
Silence. Hannah Topping, formerly Evans. It is my duty to inform you that your reasoning does more credit to your heart than to your head.
I can't help that. The devil's always in a woman's heart because it's the warmest place to get to.
Taking a small key from the table drawer.
Here, take that.
Pushing the key into the pocket of his coat.
When you once get free from my darling Noah, that key unlocks your handcuffs.
Handcuffs?
How are you to get free? That's the question now, isn't it? I'll tell you. My Noah drives you over to Durnstone with old Nick in the cart.
Old Nick?
That's the horse. Now, Nick was formerly in the Durnstone Fire Brigade, and when he hears the familiar signal of a double whistle, you can't hold him in. There's the whistle.
Putting it into the Dean's pocket.
Directly you turn into Pear Tree Lane, blow once, and you'll see Noah with his nose in the air pulling to wrench his hands off. Jump out, roll clear of the wheel, keep cool and hopeful and blow again. Before you can get the mud out of your eyes, Noah and the horse and cart will be well into Durnstone, and may Providence restore a young husband safe to his doting wife.
Hannah, how dare you!
Recoiling, horror-stricken. Hannah, crying.
Oh.
Is this the fruit of your 7 years' constant cookery at the Deanery?
Oh, dear, I wouldn't have done it, only this is your first offence.
My first offence? Oh!
You're not too old. I want to give you another start in life.
Another start? Woman, do you think I've no conscience? Do you think I don't realize the enormity of the difficulties in alighting from a vehicle in rapid motion?
Hannah, opening the oven and taking out a small joint in a baking tin, which she places on the table.
It's hunger what makes you feel conscientious.
The Dean, waving her away.
I have done with you.
With me, sir, but not with the joint. You will feel wickeder when you've had a little nourishment.
He looks hungrily at the dish.
That's right, Dean, dear. Taste my darling Noah's favourite dish.
The Dean, advancing towards the table.
Oh, Hannah Topping, Hannah Topping.
Clutching the carving knife despairingly.
I'll have no more woman cooks at the Deanery. This reads me a lesson.
Sitting and carving with desperation.
Don't stint yourself, sir. You can't blow that whistle on an empty frame.
The Dean begins to eat.
Don't my cooking carry you back, sir? Oh, say it do.
Ah, if every mouthful would carry me back 1 little hour, I would finish this joint.
Noah Topping, unperceived by Hannah and the Dean, climbs in by the window, his eyes bolting with rage. He glares around the room, taking in everything at a glance. Noah, under his breath.
My man of mystery, waited on by my newly made wife, and a heating o' my favourite meal.
Touching Hannah on the arm, she turns and faces him, speechless with fright. The Dean, still eating.
If my mind were calmer, this would be an all-sufficient repast.
Hannah tries to speak, then clasps her hands and sinks on her knees to Noah.
Hannah, a little plain cold water in a simple tumbler, please.
Noah, grimly folding his arms.
Hannah, introduce me.
Hannah gives a cry and clings to Noah's legs. The Dean, calmly to Noah.
Am I to gather, Constable, from your respective attitudes, that you object to these little kindnesses extended to me by your worthy wife?
I'm wishing to know the name of my worthy wife's friend. A friend of hern is a friend of mine.
No, Ree. No, Ree.
She's getting me a lot of nice new friends since we come to St Marvell's.
No, Ree. I made this gentleman's acquaintance through the wicket in a casual way.
Aye, cooks and railings, cooks and railings. I might have guessed my wedded life would come to this.
He spoke to me just as a strange gentleman ought to speak to a lady. Didn't you, sir? Didn't you?
Hannah, do not let us even under these circumstances prevaricate. Such is not quite the case.
Noah advances savagely to the Dean. There is a knocking at the door. Noah restrains himself and faces the Dean.
No, this is neither the time nor the place, with people at the door and dinner on the table, to spill a strange man's blood.
I trust that your self-respect as an officer of the law will avert anything so unseemly.
Aye, that's it. You touch me on my point of pride. There ain't another police station in all Durnston conducted more strict and rigid nor what mine is, and it shall so continue. You and me is a-going to set out for Durnston, and when the charges now standing against you is entered, it is I, Noah Topping, what'll add another.
There is another knock at the door.
Noah!
The charge of alienating the affections of my wife Anna.
No, no!
I am worse. The embezzling of my midday meal prepared by her hands.
Points into the cell.
Go in. You have 5 minutes more in the home you have ruined and laid waste.
The Dean, going to the door and turning to Noah.
You will at least receive my earnest assurance that this worthy woman is extremely innocent.
Innocent?
Points to the joint on the table.
Look there!
The Dean, much overcome, disappears through the cell door, which Noah closes and locks. The knock at the door is repeated. To Hannah, pointing to the outer door.
Unlock that door!
Oh, Norrie! You'll never be popular in St Marvell's.
Unlock that door!
Hannah unlocks the door and admits Georgiana and Sir Tristram, both dressed for the racecourse.
Dear me, is this the police station?
Yes, lady. Take a chair, lady, near the fire.
To Sir Tristram.
Sit down, sir.
This is my first visit to a police station, my good woman. I hope it will be the last.
Oh, don't say that, ma'am. We're only auxiliary here, ma'am. The bench sits at Durnstone.
I must say you try to make everybody feel at home.
Hannah curtsies.
It's beautifully Arcadian.
Georgiana to Hannah.
Perhaps this is only a police station for the young.
No, ma'am, we take ladies and gentlemen like yourselves.
Noah, who has not been noticed, surveying Georgiana and Sir Tristram gloomily.
Anna, introduce me.
Georgiana, facing Noah.
Good gracious! What's that? Oh, good morning.
Anna's a-getting a lot of nice new friends this week since we come to St Marvell's.
Noah, the lady and gentleman is strange.
Oh!
Are you the man in charge here?
Aye. Are you seeing me on business or pleasure?
Do you imagine people come here to see you?
No, they generally come to see my wife. However, if it's business...
Pointing to the other side of the room.
That's the official side. This is domestic. You'll all kindly move over.
Oh, certainly.
Changing their seats.
Now look here, my man. This lady is Mrs. Tidman. Mrs. Tidman is the sister of Dr. Jedd, the Dean of St Marvell's.
Oh!
There's something wrong with your wife.
Aye. She's profligate. Proceedings are pending.
Georgiana to Sir Tristram.
Strange police station. My flesh creeps.
Sir Tristram to Noah.
Well, my good man, to come to the point, my poor friend and this lady's brother Dr. Jedd, the Dean, you know, has mysteriously and unaccountably disappeared.
Vanished.
Gone.
Absconded.
Absconded? How dare you?
Respectable man, was he?
What do you mean?
This lady is his sister.
Now look here, it's no good of getting nasty and irritable with the law. I'll come over to ye officially.
Putting the baking tin under his arm, he crosses over to Sir Tristram and Georgiana. Sir Tristram, putting his handkerchief to his face.
Don't bring that horrible odour of cooking over here.
Oh, take it away. What is it?
It's evidence against my profligate wife.
Sir Tristram and Georgiana exchange looks of impatience.
Do you realize that my poor brother, the Dean, is missing?
Aye. Touching this missing Dean.
I left him last night to retire to rest.
This morning he's not to be found.
Aye. Has it struck you to look in his bed?
Of course. Everybody did that.
One would have done. It's only confusing, all doing it. Money matters, right or wrong.
Georgiana puts her handkerchief to her eyes.
Do put your questions more feelingly. This is his sister. I am his friend.
You will push yourself forward. Had he anything on his mind?
Yes.
Then I've got a theory.
What is it?
A theory that will put you all out of suspense.
Yes.
I've been a good bit about. I read a deal, and I'm a shrewd, experienced man. I should say there is nothing but a ordinary case of suicide.
Georgiana sits faintly. Sir Tristram, savagely to Noah.
Get out of the way. Georgiana!
Oh, Tris, if this were true, how could we break it to the girls?
I could run up during the evening and break it to the girls.
Sir Tristram turns upon Noah.
Look here, all you've got to do is hold your tongue and take down my description of the Dean and report his disappearance to Dunstone.
Pushing him into a chair.
Go on.
Dictating.
Missing the Very Reverend Augustin Jedd, Dean of St Marvell's. Poor Gus.
Hannah, softly to Georgiana.
Lady.
Noah prepares to write, depositing the baking tin on the table. Georgiana, turning.
Hush! Listen to me.
Speaks to Georgiana excitedly. Sir Tristram to Noah.
Have you got that?
Noah, writing laboriously, with his legs curled round the chair and his head on the table.
I'm spelling it my own way.
Oh, dear old Gus.
Dictating.
Description.
Oh, no.
Description.
I suppose he was just a ordinary sort of looking man?
No, description.
Georgiana, turning from Hannah excitedly.
Description. A little, short, thin man with black hair and a squint.
Sir Tristram to Georgiana.
No, he isn't.
Yes, he is.
Georgiana, what are you talking about?
I'm Gus's sister. I ought to know what he's like.
Good heavens, Georgiana. Your mind is not going.
Georgiana, clutching Sir Tristram's arm and whispering in his ear as she points to the cell door.
He's in there.
Eh?
Gus is the villain found dozing Dandy Dick last night.
Sir Tristram, falling back.
Oh.
Hannah seizes Sir Tristram and talks to him rapidly. To Noah.
What have you written?
I've written answers to the name of Gus.
Georgiana, snatching the paper from him.
It's not wanted. I've altered my mind. I'm too busy to bother about him this week.
What? After wasting my time?
Look here. You're the constable who took the man in the Deanery stables last night.
Aye.
Looking out of the window.
There's my cart outside, ready to take the scoundrel over to Durnston.
I should like to see him.
You can view him passing out.
He tucks the baking tin under his arm and goes up to the cell door. Georgiana, to herself.
Oh, Gus.
Noah, unlocking the door.
I warn yer, he's an awful-looking creature.
I can't stand it. I love horrors.
Noah goes into the cell, closing the door after him.
Tris.
Georgiana!
What was my brother's motive in bolusing Dandy last night?
I can't think. The first thing to do is get him out of this hole. This good woman has arranged his escape.
But we can't trust to Gus rolling out of a flying dog cart. Why, it's as much as I could do.
Oh, yes, lady, he'll do it. I've provided for everything. Don't betray him to Noah. There's an awful charge hanging over his reverend head.
Another charge?
Another? Oh, Tris, to think my own stock should run vicious like this.
Hush, lady.
Noah comes out of the cell with the Dean, who is in handcuffs.
Oh!
The Dean, raising his eyes, sees Sir Tristram and Georgiana, and recoils with a groan, sinking onto a chair.
Oh.
Up you get.
No, stay. I am the owner of the horse, stabled at the Deanery. I make no charge against this wretched person.
To the Dean.
Oh, man.
I was discovered administering to a suffering beast a simple remedy for chills. I am an unfortunate creature. Do with me what you will.
The analysis hasn't come home from the chemist's yet. Is this the truth?
Yes.
Sir Tristram to Noah.
Release this man.
Release him? He was found trespassing in the stables of the late Deane, who has committed suicide.
Oh,
Hush!
The diseased Deane is the only man what can withdraw one charge.
Listen.
Hush!
And I'm the only man what can withdraw the other.
You get out.
Get out.
I charge this person unknown with alienating the affections of my wife while I was putting my horse to. And I'm going to drive him over to Durnston with the evidence.
Oh, lady, it's appearances what is against us.
Noah, through the opening of the door.
Whoa, steady there, get back.
Georgiana, whispering to the Dean.
I am disappointed in you, Augustin. Have you got this wretched woman's whistle?
Yes.
Sir Tristram, softly to the Dean.
Oh, Jedd. These are what you call principles? Have you got the key of your handcuffs?
Yes.
Noah, appearing in the doorway.
Time's up. Come on.
May I say a few parting words in the home I have apparently wrecked?
Say 'em and have done.
In setting out upon a journey, the termination of which is problematical, I desire to attest that this erring constable is the husband of a wife from whom it is impossible to withhold respect, if not admiration.
You hear him?
As for my wretched self, the confession of my weaknesses must be reserved for another time, another place.
To Georgiana.
To you, whose privilege it is to shelter in the sanctity of the Deanery, I give this earnest admonition. Within an hour from this terrible moment, let the fire be lighted in the drawing-room. Let the missing man's warm bath be waiting for its master, a change of linen prepared. Withhold your judgments. Wait.
This is none of your business. Come on.
I am ready.
Noah takes him by the arm and leads him out.
Oh, what am I to think of my brother?
Hannah, kneeling at Georgiana's feet.
Think! that he's the beautifulest, sweetest man in all Dernshire.
Woman!
It's I and my whistle and Nick the fire brigade horse will bring him back to the Deanery safe and unharmed. Not a soul but we three'll ever know of his misfortune.
Listening.
Hark! They're off.
Noah outside.
Get up now. Get up, old girl.
Hannah rushing to the door and looking out.
Ah! He's done for.
Done for?
The Dean can whistle himself blue. Noah's put Kitty in the cart and left old Nick at home.
The end of the first scene. The second scene is in the morning room at the Deanery again. Salome and Sheba are sitting there gloomily.
Poor Papa.
Poor dear Papa.
He must return very soon. He must.
He must. In the meantime, it is such a comfort to feel that we have no cause for self-reproach.
But the anxiety is terribly wearing.
Nothing is so weakening, Salome.
Sheba, dear.
Sheba clinging to Salome.
If I should pine and ultimately die of the suspense, I want you to have my workbox.
Salome shaking her head and sadly turning away.
Thank you, dear. But if Papa is not home for afternoon tea, you will outlive me.
Turning towards the window as Major Tarver and Mr. Darbey appear outside.
Miss Jedd! Miss Jedd!
Sheba! Here are Gerald Tarver and Mr. Darbey.
Oh, the presumption! Open the window and dare them to enter.
Salome unfastens the window.
Thank you. Don't be shocked when you see Tarver.
Tarver and Darbey enter, dressed for the races, but Darbey is supporting Tarver, who looks extremely weakly.
Pardon this informal method of presenting ourselves.
You do well, gentlemen, to intrude upon two feeble women at a moment of sorrow.
One step further, and I shall ask Major Tarver, who is nearest the bell, to ring for help.
Tarver sinks into a chair. Darbey, standing by the side of Tarver.
There now. Fact is, Miss Jedd, that Tarver is in an exceedingly critical condition. Feeling that he has incurred your displeasure, he has failed even in the struggle to gain the race-course. I have taken him to Dr. Middleton, and I explained that Major Tarver loved with a passion,
looking at Sheba,
second only to my own.
Salome, sitting comfortably on the settee.
Oh, we cannot listen to you, Mr. Darbey.
Go on, sir, if you can.
The two girls exchange looks.
The doctor made a searching examination of the Major's tongue and diagnosed that, unless the Major at once proposed to the lady in question and was accepted, 3 weeks or a month at the seaside would be absolutely imperative. Shall I continue?
Oh, certainly. I am helpless.
We are curious to see to what lengths you will go.
The pitiable condition of my poor friend speaks for itself.
I beg your pardon. It does nothing of the kind.
Tarver, rising with difficulty and approaching Salome.
Salome, I have loved you distractedly for upwards of 8 weeks.
Salome, going to him.
Oh, Major Tarver, let me pass.
Holding his coat firmly.
Let me pass, I say.
Unless you push me, never.
Spare me this scene, Mr. Darbey.
Darbey follows Sheba across the room.
To a man in my condition, love is either a rapid and fatal melody, or it is an admirable digestive. Accept me, and my merry laugh once more rings through the mess room. Reject me, and my collection of vocal music, loose and in volumes, will be brought to the hammer, and the bird, as it were, will trill no more.
And is it really I who would hush the little throaty songster?
Certainly.
Taking a sheet of paper from his pocket.
I have the doctor's certificate to that effect.
Both reading the certificate, they walk into the library.
Oh, Mr. Darbey, I have never thought of marriage seriously.
People never do till they are married.
But only think of my age.
Pardon me, Sheba, but what is your age?
Oh, it is so very little. It is not worth mentioning. Cannot we remain friends and occasionally correspond?
Well, of course, if you insist.
No, I see that it is impracticable. It must be wed or part. All I ask is time. Time to ponder over such a question. Time to know myself better.
Certainly. How long?
Give me 2 or 3 minutes. Hush.
They separate as Tarver and Salome re-enter the room. Tarver is glaring excitedly and biting his nails.
I never thought I should live to be accepted by anyone. I shall buy some gay songs. Eh? When can I see the Dean?
Oh, don't!
Salome?
Papa has been out all night.
All night?
Isn't it terrible? Oh, what do you think of it, Mr. Darbey?
Shocking, but we oughtn't to condemn him unheard.
Condemn my papa?
Sheba at the window.
Here's Aunt Georgiana.
Hey, look out, Tarver.
Going out quickly. Salome pulling Tarver after her.
Come this way, and let us take cuttings in the conservatory.
They go out.
Mr. Darbey! Mr. Darbey, wait for me. I have decided. Yes.
She goes out by the door as Georgiana enters excitedly at the window. Georgiana, waving her handkerchief.
Come on, Tris, the course is clear. Mind the gatepost. Hold him up. Now, give him his head.
Sir Tristram and Hatcham enter by the window, carrying the Dean. They all look as though they have been recently engaged in a prolonged struggle.
Put him down!
Put him down.
That I will, ma'am, and gladly.
They deposit the Dean in a chair, and Georgiana and Sir Tristram each seize a hand, feeling the Dean's pulse, while Hatcham puts his hand on the Dean's heart. The Dean, opening his eyes.
Where am I now?
He lives! Hurrah! Cheer, men, cheer!
Sir Tristram and Hatcham, quietly.
Hurrah!
To Hatcham.
We can't shout here. Go and cheer as loudly as you can in the roadway by yourself.
Yes, sir.
Hatcham runs out at the window. The Dean, gradually recovering.
Georgiana, Martin.
How are you, Jedd, old boy?
How do you feel now, Gus?
Torn to fragments.
So you are. Thank heaven he's conscious.
I feel as if I had been walked over carefully by a large concourse of the lower orders.
So you have been. Thank heaven, his memory is all right.
Hatcham's voice is heard in the distance, cheering. They all listen.
That's Hatcham. I'll raise his wages.
Do I understand that I have been forcibly and illegally rescued?
That's it, old fellow.
Who has committed such a reprehensible act?
A woman who would have been a heroine to any age. Georgiana.
Georgiana, I am bound to overlook it in a relative, but never let this occur again.
Tell him.
You found out that other woman's plan went lame, didn't you?
I discovered its inefficacy after a prolonged period of ineffectual whistling.
But we ascertained the road the genial constable was going to follow. He was bound for the edge of the hill, up Pear Tree Lane, to watch the races. Directly we knew this, Tris and I made for the hill. Bless your soul, there were hundreds of my old friends there. Welchers, pickpockets, card sharpers, all the lowest race-court cads in the kingdom. In a minute I was in the middle of them, as much as home as a duchess in a drawing-room.
A queen in a palace.
Boadicea among the druids. Do you know me? I halloed out. Instantly there was a cry of, "Blessed if it ain't George Tidd." Tears of real joy sprang to my eyes. While I was wiping them away, Tris had his pockets emptied, and I lost my watch.
Ah, Jedd, it was a glorious moment.
Tris made a bet, and I stood on it, supported by a correct card merchant on either side. "Dear friends," I said, "brothers, I'm with you once again." You should have heard the shouts of honest welcome. Before I could obtain silence, my field glasses had gone on their long journey. "Listen to me," I said. "A very dear relative of mine has been collared for playing the 3-card trick on his way down from town." There was a groan of sympathy. He'll be on the brow of the hill with a bobby in half an hour, said I. Who's for the rescue? A dead deep silence followed, broken only by the sweet voice of a young child saying, What'll we get for it? £1 apiece, said I. There was a roar of assent, and my concluding words, and possibly 6 months, were never heard. At that moment Trist's back could stand it no longer, and we came heavily to the ground together.
Seizing the Dean by the hand and dragging him up.
Now you know whose hands have led you back to your own manger.
Embracing him.
And oh, brother, confess, isn't there something good and noble in true English sport after all?
Every abused institution has its redeeming characteristic. But whence is the money to come to reward these dreadful persons? I cannot reasonably ask my girls to organize a bazaar or concert.
Concert? I'm a rich woman.
Rich?
Well, I've cleared 1,500 over the handicap.
The Dean, recoiling.
No! Then the horse who enjoyed the shelter of the Deanery last night?
Dandy Dick.
One?
In a common canter, all the rest nowhere, and Bonnie Betsy walked in with the policeman.
The Dean, to himself.
£500 towards the spire? 500? Oh, where is Blore with the good news?
Look at him, lively as a cricket.
Sir Tristram, I am under the impression that your horse swallowed reluctantly a small portion of that bolus last night before I was surprised and removed.
By the by, I am expecting the analysis of that concoction any minute.
Spare yourself the trouble. The secret is with me. I seek no acknowledgment from either of you, but in your moment of deplorable triumph remember with gratitude the little volume of The Horse and Its Ailments, and the prosaic name of its humane author, John Cox.
He goes out through the library.
But oh, Tris Marden, what can I ever say to you?
Anything you like, except thank you.
Don't stop me. Why, you were the man who hauled Augustin out of the cart by his legs.
Oh, but why mention such trifles?
They're not trifles. And when his cap fell off, it was you, brave fellow that you are, who pulled the horse's nose-bag over my brother's head so that he shouldn't be recognized.
My dear Georgiana, these are the common courtesies of everyday life.
They are acts which any true woman would esteem. Gus won't readily forget the critical moment when all the cut chaff ran down the back of his neck, nor shall I.
Nor shall I forget the way in which you gave Dandy his whiskey out of a soda-water bottle just before the race.
Ah, that's nothing. Any lady would do the same.
Nothing! You look like the Florence Nightingale of the paddock. Oh, Georgiana, why won't you marry me?
Why?
Why?
Why, because you've only just asked me, Tris.
Goes to him cordially.
But when I touched your hand last night, you reared.
Yes, Tris, old man, but love is founded on mutual esteem. Last night you hadn't put my brother's head in that nose-bag.
They go together to the fireplace, he with his arm round her waist. Sheba, looking in at the door.
How annoying! There's Aunt and Sir Tristram in this room. Salome and Major Tarver are sitting on the hot pipes in the conservatory. Where am I and Mr. Darbey to go? Papa, come back!
She withdraws quickly as the Dean enters through the library, carrying a paper in his hand. He has now resumed his normal appearance.
Home! What sonorous music is in the world! Home! With the secret of my sad misfortune buried in the bosoms of a faithful few. Home, with my family influence intact. Home, with the sceptre of my dignity still tight in my grasp. What is this I have picked up on the stairs?
Reads with a horrified look as Hatcham enters at the window.
Beg pardon, Sir Tristram.
What is it?
The chemist has just brought the analysis.
Where is he?
Sir Tristram and Georgiana go out at the window, following Hatcham.
It is too horrible.
Reading.
Debtor to Louis Isaacs, costumier to the Queen, Bow Street. Total £40.19. There was a fancy masked ball at Dunstan last night. Salome, Sheba, no, no!
Salome and Sheba, bounding in and rushing at the Dean.
Papa, Papa!
Our own Papa!
Papsy!
Salome seizes his hands, Sheba his coat-tails, and turn him round violently.
Our parent returned!
Papsy, come back!
Stop!
Papa, why have you tortured us with anxiety?
Where have you been, you naughty man?
Before I answer a question which, from a child to its parent, partakes of the unpardonable vice of curiosity, I demand an explanation of this disreputable document.
Reading.
Debtor to Louis Isaacs, costumier to the Queen.
Oh!
Sheba sits aghast on the table. Salome distractedly falls on the floor.
I will not follow this legend in all its revolting intricacies. Suffice it, its moral is inculcated by the mournful total, £40.19. Imps of deceit!
Looking from one to the other.
There was a ball at Dunstan last night. I know it.
Spare us.
You couldn't have been there, Papa.
There? I trust I was better, that is, otherwise employed.
Referring to the bill.
Which of my hitherto trusted daughters was a lady? No, I will say a person, of the period of the French Revolution.
Sheba points to Salome.
And a flower girl of an unknown epoch?
Salome points to Sheba.
To your respective rooms.
The girls cling together.
Let your blinds be drawn. At 7, porridge will be brought to you.
Papa!
Go.
Papsy!
Go.
Papa, we, poor girls as we are, can pay the bill.
You cannot. Go.
Through the kindness of our aunt.
We have won £50.
What?
At the races.
The Dean, recoiling.
You two? You two drawn into the vortex? Is there no conscience that is clear? Is there no guilelessness left in this house, with the possible exception of my own?
Sheba, sobbing.
We always knew a little more than you gave us credit for, Papa.
The Dean, handing Sheba the bill.
Take this horrid thing. Never let it meet my eyes again. As for the scandalous costumes, they shall be raffled for in aid of local charities. Confidence, that precious pearl in the snug shell of domesticity, is at an end between us. I chastise you both by permanently withholding from you the reason of my absence from home last night. Go.
The girls totter out as Sir Tristram enters quickly at the window, followed by Georgiana, carrying the basin containing the bolus. Sir Tristram has an opened letter in his hand.
Good heavens, Jedd! The analysis has arrived!
I am absolutely indifferent.
Indifferent?
The Dean, to Georgiana.
How dare you confront me without even the semblance of a blush? You, who have enabled my innocent babies, for the first time in their lives, to discharge one of their own accounts.
There isn't a blush in our family. If there were, you'd want it.
Sheba and Salome appear outside the window, looking in.
Jedd, you were once my friend, and you are to be my relative.
The Dean, looking at Georgiana.
My sister?
To Sir Tristram.
I offer no opposition.
But not even our approaching family tie prevents me designating you as one of the most atrocious conspirators known in the history of the turf.
Conspirator?
As the owner of one half of Dandy Dick, I denounce you.
As the owner of the other half, I denounce you.
You?
Sheba and Salome enter and remain standing in the recess, listening.
The chief ingredient of your infernal preparation is known.
It contains nothing that I would not cheerfully administer to my own children.
Oh!
I believe you.
Pointing to the paper.
Strychnine, 16 grains.
Salome and Sheba clinging to each other terrified.
Oh!
Strychnine? Summon my devoted servant Blore, in whose presence the innocuous mixture was compounded.
Georgiana rings the bell. The girls hide behind the window curtains.
This analysis is simply the pardonable result of over-enthusiasm on the part of our local chemist.
You're a disgrace to the pretty little police station where you slept last night.
Blore enters and stands unnoticed.
I will prove that in the Deanery stables the common laws of hospitality have never been transgressed. Give me the bowl.
Georgiana hands the Dean the basin from the table.
A simple remedy for a chill.
Strychnine. 16 grains.
I, myself, am suffering from the exposure of last night.
Taking the remaining bolus and opening his mouth.
Observe me.
Blore, rushing forward, snatching the basin from the Dean and sinking onto his knees.
No, no, don't. You won't aim the oldest servant in the Deanery.
Blore!
I did it. I had an honest fancy for bonny Betsy, and I wanted this gentleman's horse out of the way. And while you was mixing the dose with the best ecclesiastical intentions, I introduced a foreign element.
The Dean, pulling Blore up by his coat collar.
Viper!
Oh, sir, it was all for the sake of the Dean.
The Dean?
The dear Dean had only £50 to spare for sporting purposes, and I thought a gentleman of his high standing ought to have a certainty.
Jedd!
Augustin!
I can conceal it no longer. I instructed this unworthy creature to back Dandy Dick on behalf of the Restoration Fund.
Sir Tristram, shaking Blore.
And you didn't do it?
No.
Why not? In the name of that tottering spire? Why not?
Oh, sir, thinking as you'd given some of a mixture to Dandy, I put your cheerful little offering on to bonny Betsy.
Salome and Sheba disappear.
Oh!
To Blore.
I could have pardoned everything but this last act of disobedience. You are unworthy of the Deanery. Leave it for some ordinary household.
If I leave the Deanery, I shall give my reasons, and then what will folks think of you and me in our old age?
You wouldn't spread this tale in St Marvell's.
Not if sober, sir. But suppose grief drove me to my cups.
I must save you from intemperance at any cost. Remain in my service, a sad, sober, and above all, silent man.
Salome and Sheba appear as Blore goes out through the window.
Papa!
To your rooms. I am distracted.
Major Tarver and Mr. Darbey!
If you have sufficiently merged all sense of moral rectitude as to declare that I am not at home, do so.
No. Papa, we have accidentally discovered that you, our parent, have stooped to deception, if not to crime.
The Dean, staggering back.
Oh!
We are still young. The sooner, therefore, we are removed from any unfortunate influence, the better.
We have an opportunity of beginning life afresh.
These two gallant gentlemen have proposed for us.
Then I am at home. Where are they?
He goes out rapidly, followed by Salome and Sheba. Directly they have disappeared, Noah Topping, looking dishevelled, rushes in at the window, with Hannah clinging to him. Noah, glaring round the room.
Is this here the Deanery?
Georgiana and Sir Tristram come to him.
Nori! Noah! Come back!
There's been a man rescued from my lawful custody while my face was unofficially held downwards in the mud. The villain has been traced back to the Deanery.
Go away!
Come away!
The man was an unknown lover of my newly made wife.
You mustn't bring your domestic affairs here. This is a subject for your own fireside of an evening.
The Dean appears outside the window with Salome, Sheba, Tarver and Darbey. The Dean, outside.
Come in, Major Tarver. Come in, Mr. Darbey.
That's his voice.
The Dean enters, followed by Salome, Tarver, Sheba and Darbey. Noah, confronting the Dean.
My man!
No, Nori!
You're speaking to Dr. Jedd, the Dean of St Marvell's.
I'm speaking to the man I took last night, the culprit as has alienated the affections of my wife.
Wait 1 moment.
Going out at the window. Salome and Tarver go into the library and sit at the writing table. Darbey sits in an armchair with Sheba on the arm. The Dean, mildly.
Do not let us chide a man who is conscientious even in error.
Looking at Hannah.
I think I see Hannah Evans, once an excellent cook under this very roof.
I'm Mrs. Topping now, sir, bride of the constable. And oh, do forgive him, he's a mass of ignorance.
Come away!
Hannah returns to Noah as Sir Tristram re-enters with Hatcham. Sir Tristram to Hatcham.
Hatcham!
Pointing to the Dean.
Is that the man you and the constable secured in the stable last night?
That, sir. Bless your heart, sir. That's the Dean himself.
That'll do.
Hatcham to Noah.
Why, our man was a short, thin individual.
Hatcham goes out at the window. The Dean to Noah.
I trust you are perfectly satisfied?
Noah, wiping his brow and looking puzzled.
I'm done.
Don't trouble further. I withdraw unreservedly any charge against this unknown person found on my premises last night. I attribute to him the most innocent intentions. Hannah, you and your worthy husband will stay and dine in my kitchen. Good afternoon.
Is it a hot dinner?
Hot, with ale.
Noah, turning angrily to Hannah.
Now then, you don't know a real gentleman when you see one. Why don't he thank the Dean warmly?
Hannah, kissing the Dean's hands with a curtsy.
Thank you, sir.
The Dean, benignly.
Go, go. I take a kindly interest in you both.
They back out, bowing and curtsying.
Well, Gus, you're out of all your troubles. Are you happy?
Happy? My family influence gone forever? My dignity crushed out of all recognition? The genial summer of the Deanery frosted by the winter of deceit?
Ah, Gus, when once you lay the whip about the withers of the horse called Deception, he takes the bit between his teeth, and only the devil can stop him. And he'd rather not. Shall I tell you who has been riding the horse hardest?
Who?
The Dean.
Georgiana, I'm surprised at you.
Sheba sits at the piano and plays a bright air softly. Darbey standing behind her. Salome and Tarver stand in the archway. Georgiana slapping the Dean on the back.
Look here, Augustin. George Tidd will lend you that 1,000 for the poor innocent old spire.
The Dean taking her hand.
Oh, Georgiana!
On one condition, that you'll admit there's no harm in our laughing at a sporting Dean.
No, no, I cannot allow it.
Tris, my brother Gus doesn't want us to be merry at his expense.
The Dean trying to silence them.
No, no, I forbid it. Hush!
Why, Jedd, there's no harm in laughter, for those who laugh or those who are laughed at.
Provided always, firstly, that it is folly that is laughed at, and not virtue. Secondly, that it is our friends who laugh at us.
To the audience.
As we hope they all will, for our pains.
The End. End of Act 3. End of Dandy Dick by Arthur Wing Pinero.